Good morning, traders, friends, fans, family, followers from around the world. Oh man, already 100 people. Open 36 seconds. I love it. Piling in. My main man, Charles March in the building. Kathy is here, says good morning. Mike Kirkland says only 100. Give it another 60 seconds, my man, and it will be double that. Marwan says good morning from Atlanta. Pablo says hello from Spain. Robert says good morning. Jeff says good morning. Mike Kirkland throwing me a smiley face. Arabia from the Northeast logging in. Axel says good morning. Great ones. My buddy from Poland, how you doing? Hey Axel, where are you from? By the way, Clive, I meant to email you yesterday, man. Feels good to be trading with you again. Thanks for logging in and being here. Masashi says, more from Atlanta. So Masashi and Marwan, you guys should share contact info and get together. John says he has sound today. Wonderful news. Axel said he's also from Brazil. Oh, cool. Very nice. Great to know. Great to know. Jeff says it's a beautiful morning here in Tennessee. I'm in Nashville, Jeff. If you're around Nashville, let's connect at some point. Okay, let's dive in and start looking at some gaps. Again, one of the beautiful parts and one of the great ways about being a part of a trading team, a trading community, is you get a lot of information and a lot of contact really quickly. And this is a wonderful gap list that we already have. But similar to yesterday, I'll kind of pull up and just show you how we can access other gaps. It's very easy, very simple. We found some great gaps yesterday from this list, and we can find some more. Rick says you have great reach all around the world. Thank you, my friend. I don't know if that's me, though. I think that's just the internet. I wouldn't say that's because of me. It's just the power of the internet, man. Being able to reach people from Israel to Brazil, from Dubai to Nashville, Tennessee. It's incredible. It's a great feeling. Very honored, very humble, very privileged, of course, to take part in this. But I wouldn't say it's because of me specifically. But that's the markets, right? The markets brings us together. Mark says you're still the best instructor on the net. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that, man. So kind of you to say. And there's Daniel says greetings from Nashville. Daniel, dude, we need to connect. I'm in Nashville right this second. Okay, so let's pull up Square. This is the first one on the list today. It is gapping down, and there's a lot of people who are excited about it. Vincent said, did you hold your Square short? Nope, I did not. I did not hold the short. In fact, if you get a chance to go back and look at that recording, I actually popped over and went long on Square towards the end of the afternoon. Give me 3 seconds to do this. I'll upgrade my buddy Joe Alconin to panelist. There's just so many people piling in. Promote to panelist. That should work. Okay. So I did not hold Square. What I will do is I'll pop in here to the 5-minute chart and show us how we talked about what we did on Square today, yesterday. So remember, this might seem like forever ago, but it really wasn't. This was only about 24 hours ago on Square. This is how we played it yesterday. So the very first thing we did was look to play a bullish entry around here with a stop down here, and Angie, Andrew, Michael Ward, a few other traders got a really good play on that one. And that was a nice little move. And then, as most of you know, we did short Square yesterday afternoon because I did think it was going to go lower, and it eventually did. But, you know, here's that double top. Double top, retested, and we got in bearish here with a stop loss up there and ended up exiting on this candle. And then once we exit on that candle, you'll obviously notice that we got a really good pop above this neckline. So when this candle closed, we set up a limit buy at the green line with a stop at the blue line. And here's what's crazy. Even though that doesn't look like that big of a move, that one candle right here, this is a 60-cent candle in 5 minutes. And that was actually all we needed. That one candle was all that we needed to be profitable on the day yesterday. So you lose 2 trades. I had one trader on Twitter who was like, man, you lost 67% of your trades yesterday and you still made money. I was like, yeah, bro, that's right. So it's all about risk reward. And that is, that's the key. Steve Sanders says, I'm not a member yet. Can I rewatch these videos in the afternoon as I'm driving home from work? Yes, sir. You should have gotten an email yesterday, Steve. Did you receive that? We talked about, I sent an email. The subject was 5 hours of recorded content. Let me know if you got that email. I sent it out yesterday. And yeah, it was all the recordings from yesterday. But either way, in the afternoon room, we record every single session, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Joel says, just hovering over pre-market low has more room to go on the downside. So let me do this. What I'm going to do, very easy, is hop over here, and I'm going to draw a support level. Steve says, I don't think I got it. I will check. And Pablo says, I did not get that email. Could be in your spam folder, but if you don't have it, email me. Email my assistant, Ashley at reallifetrading.com, and she will email you that email from yesterday. So let's see what we got. John says, the recordings from yesterday, I didn't have any sound, but others experienced the same. No, the sound 100% absolutely works, Mr. John, on all recordings from yesterday. So yeah, they all had sound, so make sure you turn the sound on. They definitely work. All right, so back to Square. Blue line. This blue line is the support. You'll actually notice this is the support from yesterday. I just drew it so that we have one. And then here's the support from yesterday. This is, again, not yesterday, sorry, pre-market. So again, the market has not opened yet. In fact, it opened about 22 minutes from right now. So if you're looking at playing this one, I agree that I think that Square will have a really good opportunity to be on the bearish side. If you're looking at playing Square, I don't necessarily trade pre-market, meaning I'm not going to set up this order right now. I kind of want to, but this is how I would. An easy $1 risk. Everyone here can calculate your risk on $1 for how many shares you should be in based on your R. That would be the setup right there. If I get an opportunity to set that trade up, I will. I'm not going to do it before market open as much as I want to. That's just really not part of my plan. The spreads and the fills can get kind of weird and wild and crazy. And, market can do a lot of weird things before the open. So just be patient, take a deep breath. Sure, it's a really good gap, right? It's gapping down to 72.70. Everyone who bought both yesterday and Friday are trapped. I love the gap down and pretty pumped about it. So should be good. Tim Stout, thanks for being here, buddy. I appreciate it. Another gap down. Again, this is a gap that I got from pretty much the long list of people that we work with and that we trade with. This is GameStop. And GameStop, I think, is personally going to zero. What do you think, Joel? There's no way the stock survives fundamentally. This bad boy gapping down 1194. So the thing is, what do you think, Joel? Your mic came undone.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Boy, oh boy. I mean, when this thing was, when it got that pop about potential buyer, exploring opportunities, in the back of your head, you're thinking, who the hell would buy that company? Did I put a short position on? No. But did I buy it chasing rumors? And someone made a good point on our earlier show today. If you're going to chase a company on takeover news, make sure it has halfway decent fundamentals, and that is not the story for GameStop. It did have a washout low print right off that reopen at 1139, and there's a bunch of lows in that area. So for me, better place to cover short and trying along. As you know, with something like PCG, nothing goes straight to zero. And Jeremy,
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you real quick. I know you were looking at Square as a day trade, and I know some people are looking to buy the dip here. But for me, the first thing when I look at this chart and I look at the move from 49 to 80, from 49.82 to 78.15, I mean, the
Yeah.
fundamentals to me have, maybe it didn't justify it being at 100, maybe it didn't justify it being at 50. You get to move to 78. For me, from a longer term perspective, I really couldn't get interested on the long side until this gets to 64, 65 bucks, and that would be the 50% retracement. So if you're buying this for a day trade and a scalp, that's one thing. But if you're looking at this as a long-term investment, man, oh man, oh man, I think you can get this thing easily in the 60 handle.
Yeah, so I appreciate letting me know that. I agree. I mean, it's not going to go to zero overnight, just like PCG. I mean, nothing's just going to tank. I do actually think that this probably will present a little bit of a buying opportunity. If you're going to day trade it, I think you could probably day trade it bullish. And or if you short it, just wait for it to short high. Don't short low, right? So if we're looking at, again, this is down 22%. Huge gap down. It does still pay dividends, so people probably will buy it until they cut their dividends. But looking for something like this, most likely something like that on GameStop. It probably will rally a little bit. Maybe we trade it bullish, maybe we don't. But once it kind of starts popping and bouncing a little bit, I like it to trade up to 12.50 and then see if it's going to roll over and kind of go from there. So anyway, GameStop definitely on the list. Probably not going to trade it. We'll see. Square is kind of my favorite right now. Here's the 15-minute chart on Whirlpool. And Whirlpool, this is down 7%. So this is a really nice gap. This purple line is the 100 simple moving average on the daily. That's the purple line. So the purple line is the 100 simple on the daily. That will be a little bit of a resistance. And since that's going to be a resistance, I'm looking for a potential retest off of that and most likely a failure. So we can kind of see pre-market, you got some chatting, some moves, some retests. And this blue arrow that I pointed to is a high wave bullish candle. I love looking for high wave bullish candles. I like looking for the breakdown of those candles. We will see if I get the opportunity to take a trade like this on Whirlpool. I'm going to be a little bit comfortable with the stop. It's a $116 stock, so I'll be a little loosey-goosey, but we'll see how it moves in the first 2 to 3 minutes. Whirlpool shorting is most likely going to be the case. John says, what if Apple's earnings beats? I think that's happening next. That's happening tonight. So until that happens, don't have to worry about Square for today. So yeah, sure, Apple could do something cool tonight, but that's tonight. All day today, it's not going to matter on Square. Polaris, ticker symbol PII. This one's also gapping down. And Polaris, what I like about Polaris is you have a really good, pretty obvious support right about here. So nice support there. Again, kind of a cute 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave structure. So this could be an A, B, C wave down. It's not a bad gap, but let's see. We got ourselves a 5% gap at 80.54. I do like the location of this gap because it's gapping down below the low of these two candles. I'm a fan of that. And I don't know, I just like it. So on the 5-minute chart, if we go back to the 5-minute, it's gapping down below some support. It is a retest gap. So I need to make sure it either takes out some support or does a little bit of a retest. And I'm going to kind of draw some pre-market support here at 78.52. I'll draw a little bit of a pre-market support here. And the way I'm drawing these candles is based off of these candles and this candle. That's really it. So just drawing two kind of soft support levels, and we're just going to see how Polaris interacts with those. Manuel says, can you do analysis on the currency pair? I can, Manuel. If you don't mind sticking around for about an hour or two, I'm going to look for some day trades, and then in the next hour or two when things slow down, I'll be happy to look at whatever you want, if that's okay. Right now, looking for shares, looking for day trades, option trades, but yeah. Harley Davidson gapping down on earnings, 9%. This would be a perfect gap, would be if it opened right here at this blue line. So this blue line would be perfect because it's opening below the low of that candle, it's opening below the low of this candle, opening below the low of this candle, just barely gapping down. This is a pretty interesting gap because it is gapping kind of to a pivot. This is 33, and this is the last support that Harley Davidson had, and it's not a bad support. Realistically, it's really not that bad. So here's the 5-minute chart, and what I can see, and well, I think we all can see, is there is a pre-market support on Harley Davidson right here at about 32.80. 32.80 is a pre-market support, bullish candle here at 8:05 Central. It could easily form a double bottom and bounce, right? Kind of similar to GameStop. It is a nice gap. I like the percentage of the gap. Joel says 32.61 was the 12.27 low. Thank you, Joel. Let me make that message to all panelists and attendees. There we go. I want everyone to see your greatness. And 32.67. So that's going to be kind of like, that's pretty much right the exact low of this candle. So low of this candle, which again is that pre-market low, is 32.70. So yeah, if Harley Davidson breaks that support, we can keep an eye out for a short. I like it. Thank you, Joel. Great info as usual. And really what's happening right now, which again is kind of a wonderful benefit of just being in a trading room, you have over 100 people doing a lot of the work, looking at the gaps, all teaming up together to find things. It's wonderful. So my boy Ken Freeman and Brad are throwing some gaps in the chat pane as well. Let me go look at those really quick. Here's XRX. Mr. Ken Freeman says this was a gap up. Oh, this is going to be a fade. Oh, yeah. Xerox gapping up. Fade. Look at all those buyers. All of those buyers are profitable, and now we're gapping up even farther on earnings. Oh, yeah. So if you're looking at playing Xerox, this is an easy short. Easy fade. I'll throw it on the list, obviously, but if you're looking at playing Xerox, I would only look for the short trade. Doesn't mean it will happen, and it doesn't mean even if it triggers that it will work. And Xerox could continue higher, and if it continues higher, I will just miss that entire trade. But I'm going to keep a very close eye on Xerox breaking down that hammer that just came in right now. So we're going to come back to that one. Thanks, Ken, for that. Here's GLW, which is another gap, and this is actually kind of a nice gap. I like this one. This is also gapping up on earnings, and I have the 100 simple moving average already here on the chart. That will be most likely a support. So keep an eye out for GLW to probably retest that level and bounce around a little bit. I'll throw it on the list. It is a retest gap, which means it will probably take its sweet time to continue higher, but I can put that one on the list because it really doesn't look that bad. Daniel says, continuation on NVIDIA. If you wouldn't mind, Daniel, changing your chat from all panelists to all panelists and attendees so that people don't think I have an imaginary friend named Daniel, which, you know, wouldn't be a bad thing, but NVIDIA is gapping down today. Another 2 points, 135.52. I talked about that yesterday in the afternoon swing trading room. And I mentioned that it realistically could be a kind of a cute gap if we do move lower. So sure, we can put NVIDIA on the list as a continuation. it should be relatively obvious at this point what candle needs to be taken out for you to go bearish on NVIDIA. And that would be this support that I just drew is based off of this support right here. And obviously this bullish candle right there. So if you're looking at going bearish on NVIDIA, you probably do want a break of those candles right there. Thomas Jefferson says, you double talk. Xerox, you say it could continue higher or fade. I said it could, yeah. I mean, thing is, Thomas, anything is possible, right? Any stock can do anything at any time. I'm looking at fading it down. If it goes higher, I'm not going to trade it higher. I don't know if that helps at all, Thomas, but like if Xerox goes up, then I'm just going to miss all of the upside. I'm only going to trade Xerox on the downside. Okay, so we have 9 minutes until market open. We already have a decent amount of gaps. Who can give me the best gap out there possible? What's the best one? Mike says, how about PHM? And again, Mike, if you don't mind changing your chat from all panelists to all panelists and attendees so that everyone can see your greatness. Vincent, same on your part, my friend. PHM. PHM is gapping down. This is a nice one. Good volume, 25.90 on earnings. Yeah, this is not a bad gap. Again, you can see that there's a 100 simple moving average right about here at 25.58, give or take. So 25.58 PHM, I will put it on the watch list. I do like this gap and go. It does look pretty. And here is the 5-minute chart. So the 5-minute chart, which we can see on PHM, is it already has bounced off of that support level. So pre-market, we can see that it's already interacted with it, but I do like the percent of the gap down, 4.18%. Looks really pretty. So we'll kind of see what that one does. Let me pull up this document. All right. And open up over here. So more people are coming in. More people are looking at gaps. Again, what's really wonderful about a trading community, ladies and gentlemen, is each and every one of you have kind of an idea on what it is that you're looking for, why you're looking at it, how you're going to play it, how you're going to interact with it, all that good stuff. It's literally impossible for me to look at every single gap that is occurring today. So my goal is to get the absolute best watch list created that I think is going to work out and present some opportunities. I'll be happy to look at 2 or 3 more gaps, but that'll pretty much be it. Once this list fills up and the watch list is good, we'll just keep it there for a while. Ken says, Amazon earnings, do you play before the announcement? I don't personally, Mr. Robinson, on Amazon, but after the gap occurs, I'll be happy to play a lot. Andrew Hall says GLW. There's GLW right there, my friend. Okay, so let me go look at 3M. Jason says 3M is gapping up. And 3M, very small gap. 196.76. Well, I say small gap. It's actually not that bad. Percentage-wise, it's a small gap, but it's actually not that bad. It is we can see pre-market is already kind of retested. Pre-market could do something interesting. Maybe. I'll write that one down on another list. 3M. I'll write that down on another list. We'll look at it if we get the opportunity to. VALE could realistically be kind of interesting because it had such a massive move yesterday. So such a massive move down yesterday. Now we're retesting, so it's gapping up 6% to 1187. This is a wonderful bullish gap and go. Very, very nice on Vail. So the fact that it's gapping above this resistance, above the high of yesterday, is a really strong signal. So be looking for the bullish trade on Vail. That's going to be pretty much second on my list. wonderfully strong, very nice gap and go. A lot of people could be trapped. The only downside on Vail is it does not trade very large, meaning it doesn't move very much every single day on average. It gaps relatively frequently. You can have some big days, but usually it's a little bit on the smaller side. So I'm definitely going to put it on the list. My buddy Joel says it's an ADR. So an ADR stands for American Depository Receipt. You can actually see that right there as well. And it just gaps very frequently. The reason I do like it bullish, though, is because of all of the bearish volume. So should be interesting to see. Anyway, going to throw that one on there, and we'll see what happens. VALE, a strong possibility. I have no problem looking at Apple. Carity says Apple has a gap down. I would ignore Apple for today. I'm looking at it. I don't actually see a gap down. In fact, I don't see Apple doing anything at all. Literally opening up 8 cents from the close of yesterday. So I'll just wait. Earnings are tonight on Apple. We will be looking at those earnings after market close during the afternoon swing trading room. Okay, beautiful. So a lot of things to look at. And again, I know I'm only going to be able to cover a very small smidgen of everything that everyone wants to look at. Canopy growth and CGC, these are gapping down today from yesterday, but the trend is very, very strong. If you're looking at playing canopy growth or CGC, if you're looking at going short, it most likely will be quickly a very fast short. If you can even find shares to borrow. Usually they're relatively hard to go bearish on. Yeah, frequently they're pretty hard to short. That's why they go up so much. It's because they're so hard to short. So if you're playing puts or something, just be very aggressive in and out and then look to buy the strong dip. So anyway, Adam said, I like NT down here. Looking for a pullback to add to a double bottom. Very cool. All right, team, market opens in about 2.5 minutes. So let's go through and look back at Square, and we will see that it's already kind of made a little bit of a dip, which is fine. I actually would love to see this continue a little bit lower, but I don't know if we're going to get a shot at that. So what I'm going to do on Square is do a limit sell and see if we can catch this on a pullback. Diane says, if you have time, look at MO. I will put it on my list to check out later today, Diane. So let's go ahead and see if we can get a Square short on a pullback. 72.59 limit sell by 73.59. So that is a new official day trade. Okay, new official day trade. $1 of risk. Very easy to calculate your share size based on $1 risk. And just looking at shorting it on a pullback. So again, the market opens in about 60 seconds. Should give everyone a good opportunity to catch and set that trade up. And for me to answer any questions. Diego says, Jeremy, doesn't Square have those patterns when in the pre-market it falls, it opens, and starts retracing hard? Possibly. Very possible. But based on this pattern, I just love the fact that you got this, you got the S-curve right here. Got a very strong bullish candle right there, and we broke that pre-market support. So if anything, if we retrace and spike hard and come up into here and roll over, then I'll move my stop down and we'll do our absolute best to lose small. But right now, should be pretty good. So 72.59 limit sell by 73.59 on Square. All right. And again, we'll see if it pulls back. It may or may not, but I do like that gap. Market opens in 9 seconds. And just having that limit out there on SQ to see if it eventually fills. It may or may not, and if it doesn't, cool. But we'll see if we get a little bit of a retest. because again, it is a relatively strong gap in my opinion. It's a relatively strong gap, gapping down, trapping tons of people, and we'll see if we can get a pullback. And if not, we'll also able to catch a retest. Ying says GME. So GME doing pretty much precisely what I talked about 10 minutes ago. It gapped down, it faded back up to about 1250, and that's going to be the resistance. GameStop's going to be very difficult to short, being down 21%. So be cautious shorting GameStop. If you do, short it on a retest. All right, Whirlpool obviously looks like it broke through some resistance, so it might not be as bearish as I would like it to be, which is fine. I mean, if it doesn't break down, that's absolutely okay. Oh, looks like Harley Davidson didn't really do much at all. Polaris, super small gap. That's really interesting. Okay. Harley Davidson, we'll see. And Xerox does not appear that it's going to hold. We'll see if it opens, how well it opens, but this is going to be a really spready beast. Right now it has about a 50-cent spread on Xerox. So just letting that one calm down. GLW, we'll see. We'll see about GLW. NVIDIA, a little bit of an upper shadow, that's nice. PHM, again, I like that little high wave candle. And VALE does not look like it's going to open where I wanted it to. We can still keep it on the list. I still actually do like it with a little bit of a potential bullish flare, but we'll just have to find out. So I have a trader saying Square is tanking hard. Yep. We almost got some of that, guys. Almost. The high of this candle was 72.43, so we missed it by about 20 cents, not even 20 cents. I hope someone caught it. Again, I love that thing pre-market. It's just not really part of my plan to short pre-market. I need more practice with it. It's just not something that I do all that often, but that's a really beautiful trade setup, right? The fact that we knew it was going to go lower, remember that's the key. You know, just because you don't necessarily going to get filled on every trade, which is absolutely okay, look at how wonderful the analysis is and look how close we got to getting filled. I mean, the thing is, sometimes I'll get filled on trades like that and sometimes you won't. But if you know to at least not be bullish, that can be as equally beneficial. So the challenge now is once you get an order like that, once you get that really big move, right, Diego? Get that strong move lower. The question is now simply how long do you keep that limit sell open because it did more or less trade to a target. Target's the 10 EMA on the daily. So this would have been a spot where I already would have exited some. So go ahead and cancel, ticker symbol SQ. We tried it, we would have already been up about an R, and we would have already exited some of the position. Missed it by pennies. But which again, totally fine. So by the way, Mr. Thomas Osborne, was I clear enough about my intentions on Square? I don't want you guys to think that I double talk. I want to do my absolute best to make sure you're all very clear on what I'm doing and make sure you have a really comfortable amount of time to take a trade. Manuel Gonzalez asked the question, when you're building an account, is it better to day trade than swing trade, or does it matter? It's a good question. I mean, that's really kind of up to personal preference, Manuel, and also up to account, it's also based on your account size. I mean, the reason I say that, you do have to have a certain size account in order to day trade, at least here in the US. For me personally, I love day trading, and I think it's a great way to build an account. But it also comes down to just your general, how much time you have, your work schedule, all that kind of stuff. So again, Square is canceled. GameStop traded right up to 1250. Failed and traded all the way down to 1171. Did anyone get a chance to catch that? If you did, congrats. I obviously didn't, but that was the way to go. Look at these support resistance levels, how well they just held. Man, that's amazing. So pretty. So just trade right to 1249. You would have had to do, obviously, a 1249 limit sell to catch that move, and you would have had your stop above the wick of this candle. So if you took that trade, that's already a 2R trade. I would exit everything and just walk away. I know that there's some traders who did that, so congratulations. Chase says, say you have an account of $10,000, and Taj says you can get around day trading limit by having a cash account. You can, but then you're going to be really, really limited to what you can trade because the cash will run out pretty quickly. So here's what I would do. I have a video on how to grow a small account. Let me send that to everyone. How to grow small account mentorship Monday. So if anyone has an account of less than $25,000, you are welcome to watch this video. I made this video during the last open house last year. So there you go. There's the video. Feel free to check it out, watch it, enjoy. Mr. Kel Robbins says, I'm new to your website. How long are you on the mic? For the next 2.5 hours. Clark Williams says, when you pre-market trade like that on Square and you set it up and it gaps down below and doesn't fill, you don't chase it, you just let it go. That is correct. That's exactly what I did on Square. I mean, beautiful trade. I would have loved to have been in. We missed it by about 20 cents. What you gonna do? Very, very pretty. Pablo says, can I ask how much does your broker charge to short something like CGC or Cron? Because Interactive Brokers charges like 20% over capital. Well, Pablo, the question that you're asking, those particular stocks are just notoriously hard to short. I also use Interactive Brokers. Now, I know that you said you're in Spain, so I'm not entirely sure the rules in Spain. You probably have the option and the ability to trade CFDs over there, contracts for difference. So I can't answer precisely that, the margin requirements that you may have, but the answer is yes. When a stock is very hard to short, like Tilray, CGC, Cron, just as an example, maybe Fitbit, maybe GoPro, PCG, Pacific Gas, you're going to have to use more margin. That is right. And that's just, because the brokers have to do more work to locate the shares. Great question, my friends. And again, Square, right, we're down 7.5%. I'm not going to get embarrassed right this second. It could easily continue lower. Again, phenomenal gap. All you need is just one of those to make your day. We almost caught it, team. We were so close. So close to catching that one. However, there are other gaps out there that we could trade. Polaris really isn't bad. It's in that 4% range, and right now it's trying to form a bullish high wave candle. Those blue lines that I have drawn, they are a little bit of a pre-market support. A little bit of one. NVIDIA just breaking some of the bullish candle as well. So NVIDIA, this is the 5-minute chart, and if NVIDIA can close below this blue line, you'll most likely see a little bit more selling. Here's PHM. So again, this is another one I'm keeping my eyes on, and this is a really good gap on PHM. Very pretty 3-minute high wave candle right there. So let me start setting up these lines to see if we get a chance to potentially short PHM. So that would also be on a limit sell. Vail, we'll see about that. Xerox, again, I'm not going to go bullish on it. I'm only interested in the short. If it keeps running up, that's totally fine. I will just miss that trade. But Xerox, with that many white candles gapping up into a long-term moving average, it's just not going to go bullish. So again, this is exactly what Thomas is talking about. It is continuing higher. That's fine. I'm just not going to be interested in trading it bullish. So again, we still have a relatively small list. Square was the #1 on the day for sure. GameStop is perfectly trading this channel right now. That is amazing. I love it when those things work out like that. Whirlpool is being wild. So here's Whirlpool. This one's all over the place right now. this purple line, if you're trying to remember where that came from, that's the 100 simple on the daily. So it did not gap below there. Still waiting to see if that actually ends up doing anything. Polaris, yeah, that's a big stop. That's a very, very large stop on Polaris. $2 and some change. Which, again, it's not horrific, but the question is, am I realistically going to make 2 times more than that? And probably not. So Harley-Davidson is just hanging out for the most part right now. It does look a little on the weak side. Bearish gap and go. Again, it did kind of gap into that pivot, but this is the 5-minute chart. I could see a potential double bottom on Harley-Davidson as well. So if we're looking at something like this, right, close below the neckline, holding that support, we'll see if it does anything from there. But if I come over here to a 3-minute chart, I actually do like this high wave candle, and I kind of like the setup. The challenge on Harley-Davidson, again, is going to be a little bit of the risk reward. That blue line I drew in there is for a reason. That's the pre-market support, and I'm just not blown away by the risk reward. Plus, it could be a double bottom retest. So I'm just going to wait a little bit longer. Let me see how this candle closes. Xerox, I'm waiting on. NVIDIA didn't close below. PHM is a good possibility. Let me scoop PHM up. Good old square. Missed it so close. Kendra Brown says Verizon was an amazing short. An amazing short. Verizon. I mean, yeah, if you shorted some yesterday, absolutely. Congrats if anyone shorted Verizon. I mean, I believe this was an earnings gap. So you'd have had to hold over earnings. For a day trade, I don't see anything yet. I mean, you could have maybe shorted below the low of that candle, but you'd be losing on it right now. I can put it on the list. I have 0 position on Verizon, but I'd be happy to watch it to see what it's going to do. Mark says Xerox is way too spready for options. It is. Yes, it is indeed. But Square, oh man, what a move Square was. It's very pretty. So right now I'm just waiting, team. I'm waiting for something to set up. Again, Harley-Davidson, I'm just going to be a giant chicken. Let this candle close, and then maybe PHM. This really is not a bad gap. So this is PHM on the daily chart. It is a gap and go. We are below the 100. So this is that blue line. Not terrible. And down 6.7%. We do have a high wave bullish 5-minute candle. And this candle looks like it might close as an inside candle on PHN. Which means if this thing does break down and continue lower, that could be kind of fun. It's not too early for a breakdown, and the stop would be a pretty far away stop, but not massively far. You're pretty much just bracket trading this entire candle. So again, the question is on PHN, how far would that realistically go? Right? That's the questions you got to answer for sure when you're taking some trades. Is if you're getting into a setup like this, although I do like it, what's the actual chances that you're going to get 2R on that trade, which means it has to trade down to like 23 and some change? The chances are pretty slim. Just looking at the daily chart, you don't see a whole lot. Which means if I took the stop and decreased it some, it would increase those chances. But then that would also increase the chances that I get stopped out for a loss. So PHM will be an interesting little guy to keep an eye on. Jason says, where do you expect CGC to pull back to? So again, as I mentioned, if you're going to be in short pretty quick. It's a decently strong trend. I'd like to pull back to about 45.70. I don't know if it's going to happen today. Probably not. but that would be a nice pullback because it did have a good retest gap right here. Mr. August says, how does Joel feel about Apple's earnings tonight? Joel, what's your thoughts on Apple? After you give your thoughts, I will then give mine. Let me pull up Apple here on the daily chart. Jason says he's waiting for a pullback on CGC to buy calls. I think that's a smart idea. My analysis, August, on Apple personally is that it probably gaps up on earnings a small amount, trades down, and then bounces higher. This pink line is worst case scenario. If for some reason Apple gaps down really, really hard, a lot of people would be trapped and it really will sell off nicely. But at this particular point in time, I don't foresee Apple getting too much more selling right now. So we will see. Apple actually does look a relatively slightly bullish today. This is the 5-minute chart. You broke above a good, nice pre-market high. This is the S-curve coming in on Apple, so it looks like it's going to slowly trade up a little bit higher. Gustavo says, sell Apple calls. No, I wouldn't yet. Manuel says, I see you use support resistance lines. You don't use trend lines. I do. I use some trend lines, sure. Richard says, is Joel speaking? I can't hear him. He is not right now. He might be away from the computer. If he pops back on, I'll hop back over to Apple, Mr. McManus. And again, I'm going to put you to all panelists and attendees. And awesome. So again, great job being patient so far this morning. There were some good setups. PHM is still hanging out, trying to determine and figure out if we can get in on that one. GameStop, here's some GME is right now just chilling in between these support resistance lines. We'll go back to the 3-minute chart. Square is beginning to S-curve. The challenge on Square for me is that it really did trade down to a support. So it's coming down to the 10. It's bouncing off the 10. It's a nice bullish trend. And I mean, this is a nice gap down. So it could easily get bought up from here. I would not be terrified to see that because it really did make most of its move already. If it does roll over, I might consider playing it, but we'll just have to see. Mr. Stephen King says, I just closed some MU covered calls I sold on Friday for 1R. Not bad for a 2-day hold. Not bad at all. Very well done, my friend. Very well done. Fuzar says, can we get the replay for more understanding? I did send out the email yesterday with over 5 hours of recording. If you did not get that email, message me back or email me if you did not get that email. I'll be happy to send it to you. Okay. Alfred says, surprised not to see you use volume by price bars to highlight your price levels. Okay. I don't know really how to reply to that, but cool. ABBV. So you have a bunch of gap downs, really nice support at 77 and some change. Ron says the ABV up on decreasing volume. So you have a lot of bearish candles in a row. Here's a support around 77. So being down here, could it bounce? Possibly. Let's see, the 5-minute chart, it didn't really gap very much, but I could see kind of the momentum of what you're talking about, Ron. Let's see, here's the 5-minute chart. Yeah, I could throw that on the list. I mean, realistically, you would just be playing it as a momentum play. So, meaning if it trades sideways and breaks above this resistance, cool. think it could make a little bit of a move. VP says, I have long positions on Apple and Microsoft. Thinking of buying SPY February puts to hedge during earnings. Your thoughts? I like that plan, VP. If you're going to go with puts, that's fine. You could also just do a bear put spread instead of just straight puts so that they're not nearly as expensive. But why not? Sounds like a great plan. Glad you thought it through. Thumbs up on my end. Okay, so getting a little far behind on the chat pane, and I apologize about that. Clive says Harley Davidson. He's looking at 33.50 by 34.25. So right now, Harley Davidson is throwing in some mean lower shadows. Again, this was kind of the price I was looking at potentially getting in bearish. I do like the 33.50. I could see that. Bearish stop limit. And 34.25, I could see that as well. Okay. Yeah, let me give Harley Davidson just a little bit more time to trade sideways, but I do like this 3-minute candle. I like the volume, and we will see if that breaks. GLW, again, was a really nice gap. I did not get a chance to snag that one, but again, you can see how beautifully the 100 simple moving average interacted with that support. So that was a very nice little move. It was a retest gap, and again, it did pull back to that support at open and just kind of bounced. So GLW, pretty nice looking move overall. AMD is still moving kind of with NVIDIA down a little bit, but nothing too tragic. Earnings are very soon, and AMD, I mean, has a little bit of weakness, but again, NVIDIA just, they're both kind of chopping around, trading sideways. Whoo, man. A lot of chats in here. D says, do you use the 1 minute and 3 minute? Yes, I do. Daniel says, what are your option recommendation? What about your option recommendation for CVS last week? So I'll be sending out an update on that one today, Daniel. The bottom line, I'll be increasing the stop on those calls and continue holding. My buddy Vladimir says you got 2 R's on Square. Congratulations, my friend. Well done. Great job, buddy. So again, glad you tracked that one down. 2 R's is wonderful. I mean, that's a great, great trade. We did retest. We did kind of pop in there. And again, that was a wonderful setup this morning. Very well done. Just didn't quite get triggered on Square, but a solid little move. Okay, next is Xerox. Gonna look at that in just a second. PHM is still trading sideways. And Xerox, is Xerox still going higher? It is. Okay, looks like I was just dead wrong on that particular gap. I'm obviously missing the bullish train on Xerox, but hey, whatever. Xerox just keeps running up. At some point, I get an opportunity to fade it. If not today, maybe later. But GLW, still strong. Whirlpool, filling that gap down. Wow. Look at that volume, too. So, I mean, it was a nice gap. We watched it this morning. It just never did anything past the main target. Greg says, I missed Square this morning. What was the entry? The gap down? Yes. Based on the gap down, that's how I picked Square. Yes, sir. The good news is I'm recording all of today's session as well, so you're welcome to go back and check it out later tonight. But yeah, Whirlpool, this was a good gap down. Obviously didn't trade this one. Greg said this gap strategy is a new one for me. Hey, no worries, man. It's a new one for a lot of people, but once you learn it, you're never going back. Gaps are life. Manuel says, do you use candlestick reversal patterns all day, every day? Okay, so GameStop still hanging out, doing its thing. Again, if you're looking at playing GameStop, I wouldn't be bullish at all. PHM still trading up a little bit. Square hanging out. Whirlpool, just tons of bullish volume. I mean, that's an amazing thing. Polaris is bouncing, so we can take Polaris and delete that. So right now, what I'm pretty happy about is I've done a great job personally of being patient. It does seem that Harley-Davidson just threw in a beautiful double bottom retest. So again, that's why I was being cautious on Harley-Davidson. If you remember me going, well, I don't know if I want to take it short, right? You had a really nice double bottom right there. All of this is the retest. So if I was going to short it, I mean, obviously I could have gone long. I realized that. And it would be working. I'm just not a big fan of Harley-Davidson. As weird as that sounds. Sometimes my subconscious barriers hold me back from taking good trades. Like Ford, I just never go bullish on Ford. It just seems weird to do. Xerox, a possibility. Manuel says, can you give me an example of a candlestick reversal pattern? Here's the evening star pattern right here. This is the 3-minute chart on Xerox. The challenge is we do have really good bullish volume on Xerox right now. So the question simply becomes, is this short still valid, or are the bulls stronger than the bears? Joel says, I'm so old, I typed in HDI instead of hog. Brutal. Hey, are you, can you unmute your mic, Joel? And someone was asking about your thoughts on Apple earnings. If you want to entertain us with your wise words of wisdom.
Are you talking about just playing it for the report or just overall?
Just overall.
I mean, oh, man. I mean, the company's come out and given you some bad news over the last couple of weeks, right? So company's giving you bad news. You have a report. I don't have high expectations for it. If I had played it long into the report and I picked it up on that gap down day, I'd either try and peel out of some of it or, maybe sell some out of the money calls because it's come back and already filled that gap to 160. As far as the reports go, I mean, you could have the actual report in your hand and have no idea how the stock's going to react. And so I usually lay off stocks earnings. I like to keep an eye on the data points from that day. But as far as like throwing out puts and calls and looking for the, expected move, man, those option guys got it down. They really do. But, yeah, filling the gap from that bad news day. So I'd be lightening up on the long side if I had a long position in Apple.
Right on. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Very good intel as usual. Xerox. So this is a 3-minute chart on Xerox. We're getting a little bit of a bullish high wave candle right now. And again, this is one I was looking at fading before market opened. So my plan was to trade it on the bearish side. What I want to do is just see how this candle closes. And if this candle closes with either a bullish candle or some type of high wave, Frank, I'm talking about Xerox right now, my friend. You're not missing out on anything. So I'm just looking at seeing how this candle is going to close on a 3-minute time frame. If it closes a nice high wave, I'm most likely just going to short the breakdown of this. And if it closes with a candle, a little bit of a bigger body, I'll try to do a limit sell a little bit higher. So we're just going to really kind of wait and see. Because again, my goal is to simply create a plan for what I want to do in the future. Right? I don't want to get trapped by what the stock is doing right now. The interesting thing is, again, there's a lot of actually decent bullish volume on Xerox. You just have so many buyers on the daily chart, and you're running into the 200 simple moving average. It just seems like a lot of people are going to be pretty excited about locking in a profit. That's what I thought. and I don't know if that's going to come to fruition or not, but we will see. So here's the 3 minutes, and there it is. There's the close with a high wave. So that means that, again, this probably won't break down. I don't know if it will or not, but 26 by 26.55 on Xerox, XRX 26 stop limit with a stop loss at 26.55. New official day trade. New official day trade on Xerox, 26 by 26.55. My boy Dennis is in the building. Let me get the D-man upgraded. Alexandra says 3M is a retest gap. Could buy more above 197.42 in a pullback. Let me do my best to look at that in just a moment. All right, so I'm gonna promote Dennis to panelist, and then I'm gonna go put this in the worksheet. So again, I have no idea if this trade's gonna work, but what I do know is I actually kind of like the risk reward on this trade. I like the fact that we're getting the potential reversal off of the 200 simple on the daily chart. So again, we're gonna look at this in just a moment, but 26, which is a nice round, even number. We were talking about that some yesterday by 26.55. And again, this is a fade. Don't know if it'll work, don't know if it'll trigger, but I do like the 3 minute candle. And again, this is the daily chart on the 200 simple moving average. It just traded right to the 200 and got a little bit of selling. So just looking to see if that's going to become some type of resistance level in some form or fashion. So Xerox, official trade. So Alexandra says 3M, it's a retest gap, could buy above 197.42. Well, you normally don't want to buy above on a retest gap, right? So if it's a retest gap, you want to get in as low as you can. The challenge with 3M right now is it just ran right into the 100 simple on the daily, which is going to be a little bit of a resistance. I would probably shy away from 3M right now. There's probably better day trades out there. And if you were looking at playing it, or if you really want to take a position on 3M, this is the moving averages. I would let it trade down into the 10 and then post maybe some type of reversal pattern and then kind of bounce off of it. But again, we've really already kind of hit a target on 3M, so I'd probably pass on that one. Dennis, are you an Apple fanboy at all?
I'm out here. What's going on? What are you guys doing?
What's
I
up?
am an Apple fanboy. I got Apple in the long-term investment portfolio, so I'm always
Okay, nice.
But it's in that long-term retirement account. We're hoping it's gonna.
What? How do you manage your long-term trades? Do you ever like buy?
Try not to look at it.
You close your eyes.
The trader in me wants to trade my long-term account. So the key to me managing my long-term account is I don't log into it very often because otherwise I sell everything.
Yeah.
I've had Apple for 3 or 4 years here now. I think my average cost basis is down in the 90s. Obviously, got the 220s, and hindsight's 2020. I wish they would have sold it all there. But I mean, for the most part, a lot of my positions, my long-term portfolio, I've had for years. So I try to buy good companies. The only reason I sell usually stuff out of my long-term is if it gets overdone, if I think valuation really isn't there anymore. I kind of put my fundamental hat on. Or if I don't like the story anymore, if I'm done with the story, maybe, something's changed with the company, the way it's running, or, with the business or the industry in itself, I might take that stock out. But for the most part, I usually try to stick with my long-term portfolio long-term.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
It's tricky, though. As a trader, it's always something you struggle with. I mean, because you think, okay, well, I'm going to go, and get out of this at a good price and I'll get back in. But then, maybe you sell it and you don't get back in. And then you look at it a year later, it's like, oh, yeah, I was right with the sell. I kind of, did okay with that, but I never rebought it. And now we're significantly higher. So I honestly, I trade my long-term portfolio probably more than I should. So yeah. I try not to, and what about you, Jeremy? You got long-term stuff, or do you just do all the swing trading?
Yeah, both. No, I definitely have long-term stuff. That was gonna be my question too. Do you have it like in a different broker or?
Oh yeah, you can't have it in your trading because you would trade the hell out of it.
Yeah.
different. And I even got it in a full, well, not a full, but discount brokerage where the commissions are even higher, just to deter me from trading more.
That's so funny. I mean, that's the exact way I just kind of fell into that haphazardly. I was like, yeah, you know what? I feel like I should have an entirely different thing for long terms.
So and I just I got a lot of tech, healthcare, and I try to just not trade it as much. What do you got in your long-term portfolio? Like what kind of stocks?
Apple, Square.
Same one.
Yeah, Apple, Square, British Petroleum, Budweiser, ExxonMobil, and Eventbrite.
So just only five stocks?
Oh, sorry, and the SPY, of course. I mean, the SPY that's kind of like the coverage, but yeah, not that many. I kind of just try to accumulate big positions over time.
Okay. And that's nice to be able to. You can manage that better. I probably got too many stocks in the long-term portfolio, which I can remember. I've got almost 100 stocks in my long-term portfolio.
Yeah.
And when you start to go, like, you can actually, and I don't log into it every day. And I can remember a couple of years ago, I don't know what the ticker was, but it was a smaller company that I had. It got taken over. And I didn't even know it till 2.5 weeks later. I was like, whoa, this stock's way up. It was a small speculative play. And I went and logged in. I was like, what's going on there? I was like, oh, I got taken over 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
So that's how little I look at my long-term stuff.
Sure.
But, I mean, in certain times you look more often. Probably when the market's going down, I try to look less so I don't make bad, irrational mistakes. But I kind of adjust, how much cash I have and how much stock I have. And I try to play it a little bit that way. So I will do a little bit of playing around with it. But for the most part, I try to stick to that stuff longer term.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, man. What did you trade today?
A lot of stocks. And you know what? It's one of those days where I traded very well, but I was positioned overnight. I'm an overnight trader. I have a lot of overnights. And I just got caught on the wrong side of the news on a few trades. And, sometimes it's just bad luck. You come in and maybe your stock's upgraded. Maybe there's, something, maybe it's suddenly reported and it wasn't expected to report. It's just sometimes, you get caught on the wrong side and it's bad luck. Sometimes it works for you. Sometimes it doesn't. Whenever you're trading overnight, I mean, as an intraday trader, you're rarely caught in news because most of this stuff's obviously overnight is the news. But I trade overnight all the time. I do a lot of different types of arbitrage, index arb. And right now, it was one of those days where I had 2-3 major stocks really on the wrong side of the news. So I actually just had a small loss today, which was good because when I looked at it, I was like, oh, I'm caught on the wrong side of a couple stocks here, and it's going to be ugly today. But I traded well, and I limited the losses here. So overall, I actually probably made money because I was up some money last night, too, on some of these overnights. So
there you go.
It's one of those days. Sometimes, sometimes you can have a good trading day and not make money. And I think a lot of people, struggle to understand that. But if you make some, everybody makes good calls and bad calls, but if you can really limit the damage, and maybe you made a really bad call, but you limit the damage well, that can, be actually a good trade. Like, for instance, I was playing hog a little bit last night, and HOG was down $1 ahead of the report. I'm like, well, you know what? Let's give me $1 lead into the report. I might take a shot on that. So I bought some hog around 35.5, and more sellers kept coming in. There was more sellers, and I'm like, you know what? I don't like it when, I got one seller, two sellers, three sellers. I'm like, there's too many sellers in here. And you never know. Like, the industry, has some dirtiness in it. There is people who have inside information. It's out there. And I'm not saying those sellers did, but I don't know that they didn't. And I'm just like, if there's these many people wanting to sell this thing after hours right now, it's telling me that, maybe this is going to disappoint. So I turned around and took a 25-cent loser in hog, selling, I think, at 35.25. And obviously it's bounced back here, but the thing was $33, $32 this morning. So that actually that 25-cent loser actually felt like a winner because I didn't take all that heat that I obviously, or take that loss that I would have if, I held it through the report. And I will hold stocks through reports if I feel like I have an edge. But in that case, I felt like there was just too many sellers and I didn't feel like I have an edge anymore.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that, man. What's cool about you, too, is you're just going to trade so differently than the vast majority of people as well.
Well, I'll put it in perspective here for you. So I'll go look at how many trades I made today, and this is going to probably blow your mind here. So, and I'm actually, I do use some automation, but most of the stuff's manual now. So I'm just actively trading, and if I look at how many orders I had, Yeah, I made 73 trades this morning. 73. And those are almost all manual. So a lot of those are exits from positions last night. But some of those were entries too. Like I bought PCG off the hop today, which was a good trade. You could just see in pre-market there that it wanted to go up on the bankruptcy for whatever reason. And I'm like, there's going to probably be people speculating, maybe selling it at the open. That's got to come down. And I just kind of felt like people, banking that, this thing's going to go to zero because it's bankrupt. And reading the tea leaves, it doesn't want to go to zero. It hasn't wanted to go to zero. Bankruptcy's been on the table for 2 weeks here, and the stock is still holding on. The preferred stocks are holding on. So there's obviously the market is deeming that there's some value here. So I bought the open, and I was immediately up 50 cents in the trade. And this was just a day trade. This wasn't like a swing or nothing. Sure. Short-term trade, but I took 3 cents of heat. Like by the time I even bring it up, and you get filled at 12.26. By the time you bring it up, I was already up 30, 40 cents in the trade. You can see the opening bar. Yeah. So I got out of it at 12.80 and 12.70. So make a quick 50 cents on it. But little trades like that work out. But then, on another one, I thought maybe, Square. I thought Square could actually bounce off the open down $4. I bought the opening print, immediately down in it. So I turn around and do as much as I can to damage control that immediately. And I lost like 30 cents in that one. So the PCG and the Square maybe net out. And it was one of those days, but sometimes things work for you, sometimes things don't.
How do you manage the trade? Like, because I wanted to short Square at open. So how do you
well, you would have been on the right side of it. So,
but how do you manage control?
I do everything. So once, and I always say this to our traders on a pre-market prep show is, when you get in, it's in some mornings, maybe I've got 40 positions on at 9:30, and people say, how do you manage those? I don't even worry about the winners. I'm worrying about the losers. So, if I'm if you're all fully automated, maybe your systems might be able to manage it. But I feel like I do better than my automation sometimes. So I used to always automate in and manual out, but I don't even use that much automation anymore. I'm manual into a lot of stuff too. And what I mean, I'm just point and clicking. So if you've got 30, 40 positions off the hop, it's difficult as a human being. You can probably only manage 2 or 3 or 5 positions. So I just go to the losers. I'm looking at my P&L. What is not working? And that's what I'm going to try to get out of. And I don't worry so much about the winners because sometimes those, especially at the open, if it's moving in your favor already, there's a tendency for it to continue to move in your favor. If there's, and it doesn't, and I mean when you're, everything doesn't work in the absolutes, so we're working in percentages always. But when you have that many trades on, it's the way I manage it. It's the way, the law of large numbers, if I feel like I have an edge, seem to work out more days than not. But on the Square, so I would have been filled at 72.13. I'm immediately down 60 cents. I'm like, okay, so I know immediately that I'm wrong. And I'm going to go try to, get out of this trade immediately because this could keep falling here. So on that opening candle, you can see it goes from like 72 down. I went down like 60 cents immediately. Bounces up a little bit there. I'm like out. So I think I sold 70. Well, I could go look at my executions. I can actually get you the exact executions. I'll just go to my window and look at it right now. But, I'm thinking, like just, I'm giving it 1 second of thought and just, and doing it. There's no like holding on and, analyzing at that. It's like, I know I'm on the wrong side of the trade. It didn't work. I thought it might open at the low. I was wrong. I got to get out. So I bought at 72.13. I sold 71.76. And that was a good sale because the thing continued to go down to the 70 handle. So it's all about, identifying when you're on the wrong side of the trade quickly and limiting that damage. So it's all about discipline. And that's how I typically trade, all those opens. I go to all the losers, work out of those trades as best I can, and then go to the winners and maybe slowly try to manage the winners. But for the most part, it usually helps me to, I'm kind of holding my winners a little longer and cutting my losers quickly.
Sure. Beautiful, man. I love it.
And just law of large numbers. So, and that seems to work out. And, when you got 30, 40 trades, you're always going to have a loser. There's no way you're going to be 40 for 40. Of
course.
Even if you're the best trader in the world and you're 30 for 40, there's still going to be 10 losers in there. That you got to work out. And I think what a lot of people maybe do wrong is they go exactly to their winners, start selling their winners, hold on to their losers, hoping they're coming back. And their thesis was probably maybe wrong. And that could get really ugly in a hurry. I mean, on a stock like Square, I know, and that's the other thing too, like maybe out of those 40 positions, there's probably 10 or 20 that are slower movers, lower beta stocks. So you don't have to manage those as closely. I know when I'm putting an opening order on Square, that's going to be a wild child. So I'm going to have to really watch that one. If I've got an order on an earnings stock, I know it's going to be wild. So I really have to watch that one and work it out as best I can.
I love it, man. I love it. What do you think about shorting Xerox, 26 by 26 and a half?
This is what have you put this trade on? Is this an official trade? Are you in it?
Yeah, baby, it's open. I haven't gotten figure out field yet, but it is open order. I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, so I just came in late because I was managing out of so just talk to me about why, what you're looking at here. And maybe you already talked to everybody about
That's
this,
okay.
but maybe give me a quick.
Sure. So here's my rundown. So on the daily chart, we've gone from 19 up to 26. So we're up over 40% in the last month and a half. You have just an immense amount of bullish volume, bullish buying. It's only been bullish candles pretty much the entire month of January. So my thought is, with all of these buyers and the stock gaps up, at some point people are going to be selling to lock in a profit, right?
Yeah.
And then it comes up into the 200, it fails the 200, and so my stop is above the high of the day. I'll probably end up canceling it, mostly because it just doesn't look like it's going to break down. So my thought was that it would, but it doesn't look like it will.
So you're going to get short when it gets to which price then, Jeremy?
26.
So if it goes under 26, you're going to say that this stock is now, starting to show some weakness, and then I put the stop at basically the high of the day.
Correct.
Saying it's not going to go through. And that's a nice setup. I mean, I always look at those highs, and obviously stock comes significantly off it. Then that's if it comes back up through and starts making new highs, I definitely wouldn't want to be shorted. So it's a nice spot to put a stop. And I've always said you can put any trade on, and this is what you do very well, Jeremy. You can put any trade on as long as you identify the risk and reward ahead of time and know where you're going to get out of it if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I think so. I love the way that you identify your trades, you identify where you're going to get out and limit your risk. And that's what keeps the traders in the game, is limiting those losses. So this has a lot of momentum. I see what you're seeing, and it's a setup there. It's probably a stock that's just too strong for me to short, in my opinion, just because it's going up. But, sometimes these can come in nicely too. So I usually like them. And I know, Joel, you're in the background there too. Something Joel and I have employed, and just the background there, me and Joel were at Bright Trading there in 1999. Joel was my trading supervisor at Bright Trading in the Detroit office. So we got a lot of history there. And Joel was kind of, I was a young college kid coming out of university there, 22 years old, thought I knew everything. And Joel, quickly the market punishes you and you realize you don't. So Joel kind of took me and, taught me a lot of different things. He had come from the floor. He had 12 years of prior trading experience before I even really had any. So besides trading a little bit of retail. So one thing, and I remember this lesson, it was like the second or third day that after I met you, Joel, you were telling me, the open, it's such a significant price. And it's because you have a lot of buyers and sellers that have obviously, matched up to open the stock at that price. So that is where traders will be breaking even, or that's where traders will potentially start to lose money, or that's where, they start to make money from. So open on Xerox is $25.88. I know you've put your number there at $26 if it goes under that. I'd be more interested if it went through the opening price of $25.88, and maybe we're nickel and diming you, Jeremy, because you're only 12 cents away from there. But it seems like when a stock goes through its opening, then it's all of a sudden getting, anybody who bought this thing on the gap up is all of a sudden starts to lose money, and they start to panic too. And you'll see a lot of times stops even get triggered when you go through an opening price. So the official open on the NYSE was $25.88. That's where the big opening cross would have been there, where they match the designated market maker on the floor, matches up the buyers and the sellers. So goes through $25.88. That's where I would get maybe interested in the short side. So you're calling 26, it's close. I'd say 25.88. I like that number a little bit better.
Cool, man. I'm also going to get into NVIDIA bearish 134.77 by 135.77. Just to give
I have this one in my long-term portfolio. Recently put it in there. Obviously shouldn't have because it's continuing to go down. But that's okay. Stuff works against you sometimes in the long-term stuff. Short-term, I don't have, short-term, I kind of agree with you. Like the stock had a nice, call it dead cat bounce yesterday morning when we were talking about it. And it's given a lot of it back, and multiple downgrades here this morning, showing some weakness, a little consolidation even right now. And it looks like it's kind of ready to roll over to me here too. So I actually like this setup here on NVIDIA from the short side, even despite that I own it in my long-term retirement account. But if I was trading it, I kind of like it from the short side here too. Again, this can be wild. You got to identify the risk. So how are you setting this one up, Jeremy? Talk to me about NVIDIA.
So NVIDIA, this is, I was hoping it was going to take the close below here. It obviously did not. But if I'm looking at this particular trade, my thought on NVIDIA is, so I've come over here to the daily chart. Daily chart, you had a white candle, a little bit of a gap down today. So a lot of people obviously bought yesterday, a lot of volume. So there's definitely going to be some longs in on NVIDIA. And then coming in here to the hourly chart, like you're saying, you get some downgrades. So you're making new lows. We made a new low, we gapped down, the trend is a little bit bearish. Here's the 15-minute chart, and the 15-minute chart, you had just a really nice indecision doji right there. And then here's the 5-minute chart. And then the 5-minute chart, this blue line looks like it was going to be a relatively okay support. And this particular support, this is the really strong level from yesterday, right? We kind of broke through these little pivot patterns.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a momentum play just based on kind of the charting. It's like, let me see if this thing breaks down and kind of rolls and continues to go a little bit lower.
It's starting to try to show a little bit of life here. I mean, it's so choppy. This is something that I would struggle to day trade because I think I would just get chopped up in it because it's just so wild. Like you could be on the right side of this and move 2 points against you, say I got to stop out, and then it would continue to move in your favor. I like trading NVIDIA a lot, but it's the day after a significant event. I usually lay off that just because, at least from a swing trading perspective, just because it's a little bit too wild for me. So I'll probably just not trade this. Although, if I'm looking at it, there was some weakness here happening. Obviously, a little fall through weakness from yesterday with the downgrade. So I'd probably be more interested in the short side than the long side. But I think it's probably one that I would sit out.
Yeah, I just got stopped out of this one. So, which is,
that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And a trade like this, if you're going to, so this was $1 stop. So, again, pretty comfortable, pretty far away stop. And again, if it's not going to break, you're not going to continue it. Like you said, it's just going to keep chopping all day. Now I know, right? So if the momentum, if it doesn't give us any good momentum, and if you get stopped out in a trade in less than 3 minutes, it's one of those situations you're like, okay, you're definitely wrong. Doesn't look like it's going to work. Let's move on to something else and see if we can flip a position, right? Yeah. So either go long on NVIDIA or hop over to AMD and see if AMD, its twin sister, is giving you any kind of good setup. And look at that. AMD is kind of trying to form a little bit of a double bottom. So that does show some potential bullishness as well. Yeah,
it's always another trade. That's the main thing, and discipline is the key, and stopping yourself out. I have so many, newer traders that will, and Joel, you can probably attest to this too, that come in and they just refuse to take losers. They're like, no, it'll come back. And, even at Bright Trading where we had, traders, in a professional, that are taught more professionally, still don't want to take the losers. And it's those traders that usually don't survive in the long run. Because you will have one, yes, a lot of times they come back. And yes, maybe in this case, this NVIDIA would have came back and you could have scratched the trade. But what if it doesn't? What is the case, and there always is going to be one that doesn't come back. And in that case, there's always one, and that's all it takes. And in that case, you could end up blowing out your account trying to, stop. And the worst thing, and, we saw this, Joel, and, remember with the one trader, I won't give out names, but would always double down and then would double down again and keep doubling down. It's like it's a casino. I'm going to just keep betting here, and eventually I'm going to get my money back if I continue to double down enough. That's the most dangerous thing you can do, because if you get some continued move that just continues to go, you can really lose a lot of money doing that. So I never like adding to a loser. That's kind of one of the cardinal sins, in my opinion, is trying to double down out of the loser. Unless you intentionally went into it with a half position, saying I'm going to buy the other half if it comes to this point. If you had a game plan, maybe it would be acceptable. But for the most part, I hate adding to losers.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Dennis gave a lot of great points there. I think the main thing that has kept me out of a lot of bad trades and in some good trades is that opening print. And especially for New York stocks, you get the concentration of volume. That Xerox you had talked about its short side. I saw the open, and I was just like, okay, if it was going to go down, the sellers were going to come in, it would be off the open. So he gave you a lot of good tips there. But I think using that opening, parameter, the opening print, square today. If you took a shot off the open short, well, give it 30, 40 cents. And if he blows through that opening area, then, your risk is defined. So he gave a lot of great things there, but I think focusing on that opening print is probably the most important thing that he gave to your listeners.
Cool, man.
I mean, just look at, sorry, Jeremy, I was just going to just say on the square trade, I mean, look if I would have held that. So I was definitely on the wrong side. I was looking, at maybe, you'd get like an NVIDIA situation where it opens low and gets an initial pop. And I wasn't coming in this thinking it's getting back to 75 or 76. I was going in this thinking, it might open low and pop a quick point, and I'd grab that. So when I'm on the wrong side, I'm immediately trying to get out of it. If I was being stubborn and saying, oh, no, I'm going to get my money back, I would have never got a shot to get my money back. I sold at 71.75. It's 70.25 right now, and looking like it wants to test a serious $70 support level. So, I mean, that's you're in a whole world of pain. You're now down 2 points in something that, I cut for a 40-cent loser. So sometimes the best thing you can do is just take that loss.
That's right, man. That's right. Well, any other stocks that anybody else wants to look at? Going to try to take another trade. So, like I said, NVIDIA just kind of kept popping, did not work, did not break down, which is totally fine. And I'm looking or on the hunt for another one. I did cancel Xerox, everyone. So Xerox is canceled. Once this bullish candle came in, right, this one right here, and obviously that candle tells me that it's not going to break down. Great job not getting triggered into the trade bearish, right? I was looking for it. I set it up. I waited for my candle. I did everything that I wanted it to do. I love it when I take a trade and it just does not trigger. I mean, those are usually the best feelings you can get, because it tells you if you did your analysis right, you're not getting filled in the trade and it's not going lower or higher, and you just didn't get in, that's okay. PHM, keeping a close eye on this one to see if it'll break down a little bit. GameStop slowly going to zero. It's down 26% today. So again, you can see that it has a lot of weakness without question. And yeah, Square, I mean, that was a beautiful, very nice S-curve rollover on Square. Well done for those who are in Square short.
It's taking Twitter with it too.
Is it? Nice.
Yeah, and you know what? There was an interesting setup there. I missed it, and I often do when you see weakness in Square or Twitter, because of Dorsey stocks, obviously, same CEO, and their companies have nothing to do with each other, but you'll just see traders sometimes when you see real weakness in one of the Dorsey stocks, the other one will roll over. And if I was on the ball there this morning, Twitter opened up, really gave you like 20 cents a heap. It was down almost immediately. And now it's down over a point here. So it's interesting, like the relationships. And a lot of stuff that I do is very relationship-based. You identify these little relationships. Some of them are obvious, some of them not so obvious. But when you can identify those relationships, it gives you a little bit of an edge. And if you see, like in this case, if you had identified, hey, Square is going to be very weak today, we got the downgrade, maybe there's going to be the other Dorsey stock that some people will take some profits in too. And that's what we saw happen this morning. So I did not make a trade because I didn't identify it early enough this morning. 40 trades on you can't watch everything, but it would have been a good one.
Nice. Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful roll on Square for sure. I mean, just a nice move. This was the gap of the day. This was my favorite gap. With all the earnings and all the things out there, just that daily chart, those two white candles. I mean, we were buying Square yesterday for a day trade. So imagine all the people that were still in bullish. I mean, you had tons of people that ran bullish, 2 days with the people trapped, gapping down, nice lower shadow yesterday, right below the 100. This is good for me because I'm in a $70 covered call expiring this Friday. So I actually like this move. And I'm hoping that it closes below 70 on Friday.
You might get to keep your stock.
Yeah, keep the stock and just kind of turn around and check it out.
Talk about that for a little bit with me, Jeremy. I've got mixed feelings on writing covered calls in my investment portfolio. Partially, I get that you enhance the yield, and if a stock's staying in a sideways market, there's nothing better than writing covered calls. In a real wicked market, like going down, like in 2008 or 2009, the problem with covered calls is that you're still taking on a ton of risk and not getting as much return, and stocks can obviously get destroyed like they did in 2008, 2009. And you're also limiting your upside to a certain extent in the case of a really bull market there. Are there certain times that you're more inclined to write covered calls? Or is this something, of a core strategy that you do a lot?
I do them a lot, man. I mean, the thing is, I think you're absolutely right with the limiting of the upside. That's certainly a risk, but it's so rare for a stock to do like a 100, 200, 300% return and just keep those gains coming, year after year. Like at some point, you got to get some pullbacks. And on something like Square, for me, I just usually try to time it where if there's a bunch of bullish candles in a row, a lot of strong buying in a row and you're trading up into a resistance, just sell a covered call at a price that you really wouldn't mind getting called away. That's kind of my theory is like if I can look at a trade and I can get called away and I make a profit, right, it's a guaranteed gain, then I can just turn right around, sell some puts. And at some point, the stock will come back. And if it doesn't, then I'll just keep making money on the put sales as that stock continues higher. But if it does, if I keep selling puts and it does eventually come back down and I get put some shares at a lower price, then I own the shares again. Now I'll turn around and just start doing some covered calls again. So, yes.
I used to do this a lot, too, back in my portfolio. I can remember Walmart. I did it for years. I was just, it's a stock. You're in it for like a little 2% dividend. Plus, if you're right in the covered calls, is where you really enhance that yield. And I can remember doing it 6, 7, 8 times where I would buy Walmart around $50 and write the 55. And then it would come in and I'd buy to 50 and write the 55. We go to the long-term charts. You might be able to see the times where I'm talking about Walmart, where it was really doing nothing for a period of 3-4 years. Yeah. Actually, you've got to go at like 2010, 2011. But I can remember doing that again and again, and it was a beautiful way. And I was like, this is awesome. And then I get called away on it, sometimes at 55. But the stock would come back in, and I'd rebuy it at 50 and do the whole thing again. So it was like I'm making 5 points. So there's a lot of different ways to go about it, a lot of different things. One thing that I've just seen traders sometimes get in trouble with the put sales is they bite off more than they can chew. Because they say, oh yeah, I'd love to own the stock if it went down to this price. But they end up writing, well, they're like, oh, I'm only getting $1. Why don't I write 10 contracts? Did you really want to own 1,000 shares?
The classic.
If you want to own the stock, and you're comfortable owning that amount of stock, think about what the nominal value is. Think about, don't think about Apple and say, okay, well, I'd love to own Apple at $140, so I'll rate the 140 put. Well, if you want to own 100 shares of Apple, that's fine, write 1 put. But don't turn around and write 10 puts or 20 puts or 30 puts.
Bingo.
Because that's where traders can get into trouble with put sales. So don't bite off more than you can chew.
Bingo. All about sizing, man. A lot of people, they do put sales too heavy. They'll look at a trade and they'll go, oh, man, there's a really good premium down there. Let me sell 40 just because I can afford it. And I'm like, well, you can afford it now. But if it goes lower, that P&L can get ugly real fast. And that's, you don't want to use put sales as a way to make a lot of money. Put sales is a solid way to make a little bit of money as you grow and build your account slowly. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. Any other gaps out there that you boys are looking at that we could keep an eye on and see if we can trade? Got a lot of nice, healthy lists right now.
I mean, let's look. You can look at a smaller one, which I took some heat on this morning too, and it was a slip up. But anyways, I was short into the report and got hit on it pretty good. Was Dover, DOV. Not sure if you follow this one closely, but it's up significantly here. Gapped up into the earnings, pulled back a bit. I actually covered it very well, so obviously still a big loser for me here today because I had it short overnight into the report. But I ended up covering in the low 83s, back up in the 84s here, so it ended up holding. It's now back up. There is a nice gap in the charts there. I'm not sure if there's anything for you to work there, though.
That is nice. No, that's really pretty. I love that. So this is what I refer to as a retest gap because I expect it to sell off. You had that shaved top hammer candle yesterday, but you still had some bearish candles as well. So here's some bear, here's a bear, and here's a bear. So this particular gap up on DOV, yeah, I didn't actually I didn't play this today. I didn't see it, but you're right. I mean, nice gap up. So I expect everyone who's profitable yesterday, everyone who bought with that amount of volume, a lot of people are buying, they're going to sell, lock in their profits, and the stock will drop, and then you actually do look for a bounce. So I might not be able to trade it right now, but I'm definitely going to put it on my list because I do like that. It's pretty. It's a very nice retest. This, I would zoom into a 5-minute chart, and this high wave candle would have pretty much sealed the deal for me if I was going to go long. You got this pretty decent volume coming in, on DOV. So this is the volume spike right there. And then you get an inside candle, just a really nice inside candle. And you get a bullish Marubozu that does not trigger and it doesn't break above the high wave. So entry would have been there, stop would have been there. That's a really nice trade. And that would have been, I should have asked you like 10 minutes ago.
Well, here's another one for you. Going the other way is Verizon. Not sure if you've talked about this one here. Did you already talk Verizon?
Yeah, I talked Verizon. What you got on this one? This one doesn't move very much usually when it gaps.
Yeah, but it's a big move for the stock, and obviously, we're down to the downside, so disappointing results here. It had been moving down, but there is a gap. I was just trying to find you some gaps there, Jeremy.
Sure.
53, it's bounced off there. It bounced up to 54, came back and kind of retested below the day that held, and it's trying to slowly crawl its way back up here now at 53.5. AT&T has shrugged this off. Sometimes AT&T moves with Verizon a little more closely. AT&T not down here today. They're only trading down, 13 cents. So it's nice strength in AT&T, which is due to report tomorrow before the market opens. So, But Verizon showing a little bit of life. I thought there might be some buyers. It's one of those stocks that people love it for the dividend. And as it pulls back, I think there's some portfolio managers that lick their chops and lots of support back in the 52.5, 53 area. So we were talking on the pre-market show that we thought if it got down in the 52s, potentially in the lower 53s, that it might have a bounce, and it did. And it's went and retested it, and now it's trying to bounce again. So it's showing me that big line in the sand there from that support from October and December potentially wants to try to hold. So that's what we're kind of looking at, is if that support can hold there or not. Obviously, it's now 60 cents off that 53 area, but this morning it did have a nice little bounce off those lows.
I just want to hop in here for any square traders in here, anybody that happened to catch that short off the open. It's approaching its 4-day low at 69.30 so far. The low is 69.56. I'm just talking to that as just a potential. I mean, we basically have gone straight down $7. So just keep an eye on that 69.30 area if you have a big short or you're looking to cover something. You got to drop to 68 after that. I don't see that happening, but keeping an eye on 69.30 here in SQ.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is a wonderful time if anyone is in short to start doing a little bit of coverage. This is like that perfect S curve on Square. Nice breakdown, really good retest, nice rollover. And again, right around here, a bunch of bearish candles in a row, down 8%. And also, just throwing this out there for anyone who does want to own some shares of Square. So we were talking about doing some put sales. If you like Square, you're a fan of it, maybe you like as much as I do, I don't know. This is a really nice gap down, and I do think it could go a little bit lower. But if you're doing any type of put sales, you could consider this 55 area. So again, think about 55 for maybe February. So regular February, which is only 2.5 weeks away, a 55 put sale is 35 cents. So kind of like you were saying, Joel, Dennis, like you're not going to rob the bank with a put sale down there, but 35 cents, if you're like, you know what, I want to own 300 shares of Square. It's like, okay, cool. You want to own 300 shares of Square. You want to do it at 55. Awesome. You might as well get paid $100 to just literally do nothing, right? So if Square does trade down to 55 and it closes below there on February 15th, you get put shares. And if it does not, then you make $100 and you can do it again.
Another thing to consider on Square is this is a big move off of a rating change. Yes, it was, against the grain. Yes, it was out of the blue. Yes, it was to sell or underperform, as they call it at Raymond James. But I do a lot of statistical arbitrage, and I, analyze ratings and what they are worth. That's even a rating of alarm for me right now. Somebody's just changed the rating on something. I have alarms that go off on it. But down 9% on a rating change seems like a pretty big move. So it wasn't like Square themselves came out and disappointed here. This is just an opinion of an analyst. And this is a stock that was loved. So at a certain point in time, there's probably going to be a bounce in this. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get follow through. Sometimes one analyst can trigger another analyst that was maybe thinking the same thing, and you can get a follow through downgrade. But in this case, it's a big move for a rating change.
Yep. Agreed. And this is a fun one. Definitely the gap of the day. Here's CRON. So CRON, I know we were talking about this one. Just this thing has been on an absolute tear. Alternative harvesting, as I like to call it. Strong move, big upper shadow now. Again, probably not the time to buy today. Going to have a hard time finding some shorts, but get a little bit of a sell off on CRON. The trend is still bullish though, so you're most likely just going to pull up that hourly chart and try to locate a decent lower level to buy the dip. Roku. Steven's watching Roku. Took some ROKU. And here's a 5-minute chart on Roku. And I do kind of like how it's consolidating. It's kind of just chopping around, doing its thing, hanging out. Here's the 3-minute chart. And potential double bottom. Needs to get back above here for an entry, says Steven. Yeah, I mean, Roku, I'm going to keep it on the list. I do like it. Certainly going to watch it to see what it can do and what it ends up doing. Going to slowly creep lower to see what we can find out there. Again, Square's fantastic rollover, very nice move, great place to take some profits. NVIDIA, hanging out, trying to just, like you guys were saying, just chop around for a while. Whirlpool is just going to keep on fading. Went red to green real fast. So just gap down, hit the 100 simple, bounced, and traded all the way up to the 200 simple. So again, Whirlpool is one of those dividend-paying stocks that a lot of people will keep an eye on and will buy the dip on. MKC, so this one in particular was a shave top and kind of is pulling back, doing somewhat similar to what I thought it would do yesterday. That's why I didn't really want to buy it on a breakout. So this is a swing trade on McCormick that I got filled on. MKC doesn't mean that it will work just because I'm getting filled on the trade. And again, I'll show you kind of why I'm playing this one, mostly based on the Bollinger Bands. So I don't look at Bollinger Bands all that often, but here's a Bollinger Band. Let me see where it is. So the Bollinger Band on McCormick and Company, this is a dividend-paying food processing company. You had a gap down, and you had a white candle close outside the bottom band. That's pretty rare, most usually. And the fact that it closed below there, I'm more or less just trying to ascertain if you're going to get any kind of bounce on NKC. It certainly doesn't have to, but I do like the fact that you're buying on a dip, buying a pullback. It's definitely counter trend. Everything about it is counter trend, but just that candle alone says to me it's a pretty decent reversal pattern. United Technologies. I was looking at United Technologies a lot yesterday, and we are up 2% on UTX. This one had a very nice gap actually today, and this was a wonderful move. So you had that hammer-ish candle yesterday, a really kind of a good gap up today, and just a very nice 5-minute chart. Nice move, nice run, and this was a very, very pretty gap on UTX. So this is one we were looking at yesterday in the afternoon, swing trading room. Just a nice little bearish candle. You had a good gap and go, some good sideways movement, and that was, pretty much it. So decent little move on UTX. We'll see if we can get a pullback on that one, but it looks nice. I do like it. John says, I want to share my trade. Square, I bought a long put yesterday and hedged it with a short put when it reversed and became a diagonal long put with a short expiring in 3 days. Both options are deep in the money and still breaking even because of my good location. It dropped 9% and became a scratch trade. Thanks for sharing, John. Appreciate that. Yep, those diagonals, man, when you got those options that are really short term and they go in the money, man, those things can move very, very quickly. So yeah, I appreciate you letting us know and filling us in on that one. Axel says, I hesitated and did not play Square at the break as I was planning to. I had a conference call and missed it. Sorry, man. Yeah, again, it was a great gap. This is really my favorite gap of the day. And with that particular trade, I mean, good try. I mean, that's all I could say. I mean, as far as the rollover, as far as the move is concerned, a lot of traders feel like they need to be in front of the computer, in order to take a trade. If you have a conference call, if you're going to a meeting, sometimes, in my opinion, that is the absolute best time to get into a trade, right? Take a trade, set it up, walk away, and then once you're in that trade, just let it do its thing while you go out and do your life things. Whatever that life is, go out and just kind of enjoy yourself, move on, go do something else, whatever it is. A lot of you, if you're at work or you have family obligations, be in that trade, set up your entries, set up your stops, and just kind of move on. So that's really it, and just kind of keeping that in mind. It's good to know just having the ability that your stop will work is a good thing. So if it works, awesome. If it doesn't work, you lose small. That's equally great. Take the small loss, take the loss, and then kind of move on from there. Beautiful. Antoine says, why is Cron falling? So CRON is literally insanely high, and this is selling coming in on CRON. So this is, I mean, you can't expect the stock to go up forever, right, Antoine? So this stock has gone 100% in the last month. 100%. So if you get a stock that moves 100% in less than a month, you're going to get some selling. Plus, you had this huge bullish candle yesterday. So when you get a candle like this, and then you get the the buyers that come in to try to buy the breakout, you're going to get some selling. And that's just very, very classic parabolic action on CRON. So from here on a 5-minute chart, I mean, you got some bearish candles. You have a bullish candle coming in, but this is still a hard to borrow stock. So we'll kind of just find out and figure out if you're going to play it, you probably have to play it with put options. Gustavo says, you're right, Jan. I got 1.5 hours for the day, so I'm calling it. Nicely done, Gustavo. Beautiful trade. Gorgeous. Jay says, what's your thoughts on AOS? AOS. Let me pull up AOS. A.O. Smith Corporation had earnings. Going pretty sideways, Jay, on AOS. Here's my thoughts. I do like today's high wave candle. I would like for today's high wave candle to close just like this. And if you do get a close like this on AOS, then let's see if we can bracket trade this candle pretty much like this. So we close like this today on AOS, then you're going to want simply a close above the high of today and then look to play it bullish. So there you go, Jay. That's my thoughts. And I put that chart in the chat pane for you. I haven't looked at Netflix all day. What is Netflix doing? Netflix, just hanging out. Down a little bit, not doing anything too crazy.
Jeremy, I got one for you.
Yeah.
Just go to Caterpillar because this is having a nice bounce back day here today, up $2.50. Obviously got the whoosh yesterday. We started to stall at yesterday's high right there, 27.80, and that's where we just got up to and almost kissed it exactly, 27.90. What are your thoughts, on this Caterpillar? If it was to get into that gap here, do you get interested in something like this? Like if it's above 128, what are your thoughts here on the cat?
Man, it looks a little bit weak, dude. It looks a little bit weak. I mean, again, it is relatively a bearish gap, no question there, but it did make a new high. And what's interesting is if I'm looking for a new high, something like this, so this is the new high and this is the people buying it, right? They're trying to buy the breakout. This candle looks a little bit weak. This is a nice gap, but it is a retest gap. So if you go to a bigger time frame, we're probably going to see some bearish moving averages on this. There's the 50 on the 15-minute. I wonder what the hourly looks like. hourly. So we're trading into the 10 EMA on the hourly. I kind of want to short this, as weird as it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
It matched yesterday's high, couldn't get through it. So I agree with you there, 127.80, 127.90. I'll call that a match, 10 cents through it. So I would say if I was to short it here, I would want to stop out probably above 128 now. So because if it gets back up and starts making new highs and then obviously getting into that gap area, I would not want to be shorted. So I think you could I think you could set it up as a short trade, just stopping out above 128 though.
Yeah, I agree. 128.01. Let me just go look at the Dow really quick. I don't know if you have, let's see, so potential little selling on the Dow Jones ETF. But again, this is the Dow. It looks like we're just bouncing and kind of continuing a little bit. So here's the SPY. And the SPY a little on the weaker side. Yeah, I actually don't mind that trade on Caterpillar. I like the fact that it made that new high and failed. That's usually a really good look. And you got a bullish high wave candle. So if we do CAT 126.93 stop limit with a stop loss of 128.01. Let's see if we can make that happen. 20 seconds. New official day trade on Caterpillar. Wonder if I can get this in fast enough. We have to do a little bit of math on that. Even if it does break down, again, with the limit, I can just do a limit sell like 126.94, 126.95, something like that. 128.01 minus 126.93, kind of like a weird number. So 108 divided by 108 equals 462. Okay, so 462 shares. If you had a $500 risk unit, sell custom OCO bracket, 462. Bam, bam, stop limit. Looking at 126.93, 126.93. Stop loss of 128.01. And I can always adjust the target later. Boom. Okay. Cool. So yeah, we will see. Like I said, I do like the fact that it did breach that high, and I like these bullish high wave candles right here. And I like the fact that this is a retest gap on the 5-minute, which tells me that it could come back down and retest those levels. By no means has to, but it certainly, like I said, it could. I just like.
If you got short this, if you do get short, what would your target be on this?
So my target on this one, that's a very valid question. I almost always try to target two times my risk.
Yeah.
So in this particular trade, Caterpillar can move a decent amount. Like I said, it's about $1 risk, so it's not a massive, crazy amount. I will be looking at targeting right into this gap, so about 124.77. That's 2 times my risk. So if it can come down and fill the gap, that would be great. I already lost 1% on NVIDIA earlier today. So if I can get more than 1% on Caterpillar, so for example, if Caterpillar drops, let's just say hypothetically, Caterpillar does something really cool and drops like right to here, 125.58, and I just exit flat there. That means I'd go up 0.2% on the day. So that'd really kind of be it.
So are you in the cat now? Are you short it?
Yeah, just got filled.
That's what I was going to say, because it just cut through there. So it's a nice setup.
We will see, man. I appreciate letting me know that. I do like that new high.
I'll keep throwing you ideas, Jeremy. I like this. I did not do this one with you, but I'm watching, and obviously, this.
Jeremy, you said you were looking at it bullish, and Jeremy shorted it.
That's it.
That's what
actually. I don't know if I was full on bullish. I wanted his opinion on it, but I said if it gets above 128, I would be bullish, though.
Yeah.
So I think, and this is an interesting, there's traders on both sides of the trade. But I would say if it actually gets up and stops Jeremy out, I would actually get interested in this in the long side.
Okay. No, you did say that.
So that's where. So I'm no trading it here, but I'd be interested from the long side. I wasn't comfortable enough to join Jeremy on the short side here. I was more interested if it could get up and take out the 128 high, make new highs again. Then I would get bullish. So we'll, I'm watching here, and obviously if it gets back up there, maybe I get interested in the long.
Yeah, something.
But I'd have to get above 128, make new highs again.
something that kept me out of that, Dennis, was, and I know I use this to my detriment sometimes. The market was just too weak for me on that. We were the SPOOs were starting to break down. I don't know if we have any news or anything relevant going on, but we do have a pretty good sell-off going on, on here. So I let that affect. That was like, so naturally longs. If the SPOOs are weak, and that obviously that's part of it. But that was one reason. Also, you got a lot of buyers trapped in that run from that gap down, and they're scratching their head trying to figure out the institutions whether or not to buy more or whether just to puke it out. So a lot of overhead supply in the cat. And Dennis, you see news on the SPOOs coming down here? I'm not
No,
really
I don't see the news really flying at me here. It's more,
Okay.
We've been trying to roll over here for a while. On the S&Ps, and we bring up the chart here. We've been just quietly consolidating. You've had some value stocks holding this market up, but when you got Square trading down $7 here now, you've got NVIDIA following through and obviously now trading in the red, down 4 points here. You have a lot of the leaders here, the leaders that have been the leaders for the last month of rally, really weak here today. The stocks that have been trying to hold us up and keep us up here, you saw a big reverse on Whirlpool on the earnings. Some of the defensive names, Pfizer reversed on its earnings actually as well. Pfizer was trading significantly in the red, and it is now in the green too. So it's kind of a defensive day. So you're seeing the defensive stocks, trying to hold up, and eventually the defensive stocks usually just can't hold up the market. So you're starting to see now, where you've got a lot of the tech stocks very weak here, starting to roll over. Even Apple has gone. Apple was green, up over $2 here, or almost $2 at one point in time, and it has gone to the red as well. Microsoft quietly getting hit very hard here today. Microsoft opened at the highs, really no heat if you got short the opening print, and it is now down 2 points. So Microsoft is one that's actually held up very well, but it's starting to show some weakness here. This Microsoft chart, actually, that's a significant breakdown for Microsoft. You had three lows right in the same area, around 148.
Wow.
I'm looking at the 104.76 low going back to January 17th, 104.86 low on January 22nd, and the recent low from yesterday, 104.66. Now we break down through there. You've got a significant breakdown here in Microsoft, almost a break of trend as well. You had a short little uptrend there. So now you see, like, this has been a market leader, Microsoft, and it's showing some significant weakness. Although Microsoft is due to report tomorrow after the bell, so that can change things very quickly when you get fundamental information. Sometimes technicals take a back seat. But as of right now, people are nervous at Microsoft.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. That's a nice little breakdown, and I'm
Are you looking at setup in this one too?
I might, man. I mean, I like the momentum, so we'll see. That I got a little bit late to it. I mean, this breakdown, honestly, like I said, I did not see this today or earlier. But if this support breakdown, see this candle on Microsoft, I'm definitely shorting below that. And that is some weakness. So I do like it, but yeah, I did not get in early enough. Good stuff.
We're breaking down here pretty good. Just for the people looking at your pre-market levels, your pre-market low was down at 26.2850. That's 2 points away from here, and Monday's low is down to 22.25. But pre-market low, sometimes good for a bounce there, so I'm keeping an eye on that as a short-term target here. But we're coming down hard. There's some news out there that we just don't know what the hell it is, because we've lost 10 points here pretty quickly.
Yeah, let's see if we keep going down, because I'm in bearish on Caterpillar, so I would like for that to
Okay.
I would like for that to keep going down. But
move in your favor. 30 cents into this there, Jeremy. Keep her going.
So Square, I mean, that's definitely been the big move of the day. That's been definitely the nice gap. But yeah, Visa. Someone's asked about Visa. Visa also took out some really good lows. So, I mean, as far as this move, I think this is a relatively strong move with kind of volume and candles. It looks kind of cute. So let's see if we can get some type of retest, because, again, the market's only been open an hour and a half. We have tons of time for some more lower lows out there if they're going to come in. I mean, the SPY is only down 0.4%. which is realistically nothing at all. So, I mean,
and again, a lot of stocks trading in the green. Some of your industrials are still trading. The Dow, if we look at it, DIA, you can go to that. It is still trying to hold on to green because you have a lot of defensive stocks in there. and obviously those aren't as down as much. But it's the tech stocks that are bringing us down here today. When I'm looking, I've got 200 stocks on my screen. I'm just trying to take a quick glance and looking at it, and the real weakness here is really coming from tech. Although you do see some scattered weakness in other stocks too, like McDonald's is down $2. That's a big move down for McDonald's. So it's definitely a mixed market here today. I see some green, I see a lot of red, but when you get a move like Mickey D's down 2 points there, that's interesting as well.
So the thing for me, man, is I've been trying to look to do a bear call spread on Netflix up here. And even for March, so I was looking at a 285, 290, and I can only get maybe 55, 60 cents. Do you think I should pull that trade for only 60 cents, or should I wait it out?
What's the trade there, Jeremy?
Bear call spread. So selling.
So set up the parameters for us.
Gotcha. So selling the March 385 call. And
385. Okay.
Yep. And then buying the March 390 call. And I think that trade right now we're looking at right at 60 cents.
60 cents.
Which is, I usually like to get more than 10%. That's kind of like my minimum. So the real amount, the minimum would be 50 cents, would be 10% return. So if I can get 60, I mean, it looks like Netflix, I personally think Netflix is going to come back and fill this gap at some point. And then if it does that, I could leg into maybe a bull put spread nice and far away, create a condor, and just double down on this bad boy.
I mean, Netflix, and we've been talking about this stock on the pre-market show over at Benzinga there for the last, we talk about every day pretty much, but it just was an impressive move, 230 up to 360, but so fast. And now, it's almost trading a little bit of textbook here too. On the recent move, 360, you go down to 320 on the recent, coming back down there, obviously, since, the news there. And it got back up and it kissed 340, which would have been a perfect 50% retracement. Couple days, even today, trying to get up there, sneak it set up 336, 338. Sellers still emerging there at the old 50% retracement of just that recent move. So I think the bears are in control here. And you've got an interesting level too here. 328.51 was the low from 3 days ago. Yesterday's low, 328.88. We are holding 328.15, below 328. This thing starts to open up to 320. So I think, even as a shorter term trade, if you can start getting through 328, I'm interested, as a potential short term trade to the short side to retest the 320. So I think you're on, I'm more inclined to sell the stock short than to buy it here. So I think you're on the wrong side. I'm a short term trader. So when you're going out to March, I have no idea what this thing's going to be doing in March. But as of right now, I think this thing, is going to find sellers into strength. And I think if we break down below 328, I think we go at 320 in a hurry.
I like that. All right, man. Well, I've been playing that, and really the VIX is kind of popping a little bit right now, and 60 cents is not really not that terrible for that particular price. I've been planning this one. I'm going to hop into a Netflix bear call spread. First March position. First March spread. 385, 390 for 60 cent limit. So again, I'm more or less neutral to bearish on it. Like I don't necessarily think it has to go down lower, but that's the cool part with spreads is it doesn't really have to. Like it doesn't have to go that. It can just trade sideways as long as it doesn't go up another.
50 bucks, 60 bucks.
Yeah, okay. 50 points, it should be okay. And so my thought is, if it does, right, I can have a spot where if I need to, I have the, if it really just starts breaking through, I can always buy a call as a protection or something. But at this particular point, I kind of dig it. All right, so I'm gonna throw that one in there, and then I'm gonna go. Where's that worksheet? All right, put this in here. Do you ever do a lot of option trades?
I used to trade options 10 years ago a lot. I don't do as much anymore just because I've moved to equities, and I'd say I focus mostly on equities. I used to do a lot of covered call writing on my investment portfolio, but I used to do different setups there too. I used to do the lottos where you're going in something for the cheap. I had a filter running for nickel options, and I'd buy, options when they would get under 5 cents on something that might be, it's like a lottery ticket, like on something that, I think could potentially move, and but it's way out of the money, and it would have a big move to get there. And 90% of those time, those lotto calls or puts expire worthless. But in the odd, if you can get that other 10% to pay you, a huge amount, then in the long run you might make money with that strategy. So I've done a lot of that, and I've had some success with it too. But I'm mostly an equities guy, and I'm mostly an arbitrage trader. So I'm not doing a straight up arb. And if you take me back to 1999 when I started, I was doing a lot of just straight up arbitrage, risk arbitrage, all the different types. Now we do mostly statistical arbitrage, where we're looking at the relationships. The reason we don't do the straight up arbitrage anymore is that we can't compete with the high frequency traders in straight up arbitrage, because you got the Citadels, you got the Virtue Financials, the UBSs, and obviously that are can do it hell of a lot faster than we can. So we try not to compete on the straight up arbitrage, but the stat arb is still a lot of money in that. Relationship based trading, just like I was talking this morning, Square Twitter, there's a relationship there on certain days, and if you can identify that, you can make some money. Even looking at PayPal this morning, Square very weak here off the hop. PayPal actually opened in the green here today. PayPal will trade with Square a lot of times, not tick for tick obviously, but there's definitely a relationship there. And PayPal is now down $1.50 from the open. So if you were just shorting PayPal this morning saying, I think the Square weakness could continue or it could just stay down, PayPal might drag PayPal along with it, you'd have been making some money.
I like it. I think that's
relationship-based trading. That's where my focus is.
Sure, totally. Chase asked an interesting question. Jeremy, why does the theoretical option price past price fluctuate on TOS? I'm charting the option prices like you showed a few weeks back. So, I mean, Chase, that's a really easy question to an extent. The term theoretical, right? So it's saying based on all things being equal, this is what the price should be on the option. But as you know, option prices are going to change every day, every minute because of the stock price. So as the stock goes, as the stock moves and the option goes in and out the money, delta, vega, implied volatility, all of that starts changing, then you're going to get pretty large changes in the theoretical option price. So very valid question, but that's really my thoughts on that one. So what I want to try to do in Caterpillar is, like Dennis was asking earlier, where is it that I do want to exit? Because I would really love to get that R back that I lost on NVIDIA. Because the thing is, truth be told, I was a little scared with Joel breathing down my neck over there, trying to impress him. I loved this tweezer pattern, and I wanted to get in bearish again right below that. Let me zoom in. One of the most interesting things to do as a trader is if you lose on a trade, having the ability to just get right back in and just kind of dust off the loss and move on. This is a beautiful tweezer pattern. Entry there, stop there. I could have gotten that R back and then some, and I actually would have exited right here at that support. No big deal, not an issue, I guess. I can live with that, but yeah, did have a good little move. So let me do this. I'm going to go through the watch list that we have, and I'm going to peel the things off that I do not think I'm going to trade. PHM has just continued higher. It was a good gap. I didn't get any trades on it, bearish. I'm just going to take that off the list for me personally. GameStop, again, has been weak all morning. We knew it was going to be weak. If anyone played GameStop at any point bearish, congratulations. Square is at 69.24, so it's getting to the point where you're definitely going to want to lock in gains on Square. Again, NVIDIA kind of just holding that a little bit of support. Whirlpool, I mean, if you're playing Whirlpool at this point, you're probably fading it. The fade would be a break below the low of this candle right here. So you do want to close below that on Whirlpool, in my opinion. But again, it just ran up so much that I probably wouldn't be buying right here on a Whirlpool. I can keep it on the list because I don't mind fading it. I'm definitely not afraid. Polaris. So Polaris is just hanging out. Xerox, I've canceled it. I was wrong. It did not fade. And I missed all that bullish move on Xerox. Harley Davidson. Haven't played Harley Davidson yet at all. GLW, nice little retest. Vail, still a possibility for a long for me. Verizon, just choppy. Roku broke down. AMD hanging out. Voyager Therapeutics. Now, this one could be interesting for a day trade. It has consolidated quite nicely. And I know it's up 39%, but this is just one of those stocks where, man, anything could kind of happen. Like anything at all could happen on Voyager. So if it keeps trading sideways, the longer it trades sideways, the more I might be inclined to like that trade. Dover had a little bit of retest again. Visa looks very cute. Visa and Microsoft, with this little retest that they got going on, that does not look bad. And now SPY, again, just had a really small pullback. So we'll get to see and kind of find out if we actually get a bounce on the market or if we do get some rollovers. And with Caterpillar, I'm trying to determine, again, how long I just hold this stock and what I end up doing on it. Because, again, the short-term trend is bullish. It did pull in. This is the extended hours, the 10 EMA on the 15. And this is the non-extended hours. So we can see that there's a little bit of a support on Caterpillar right here. And this is the hourly chart. So hourly and then the 5. I think I'm okay to hold it just a tad longer. Again, a little in the money on that one. Nothing wonderful at all. But I think it could get a little bit better, potentially. Again, this is certainly a warning signal. The fact that this traded right down very nicely to the 10 on the 15 and bounce. And again, same thing, 10 on the 15 on this one. So we'll look at that. Joe, yeah, man, what you got for me on the E-minis? Pull up SPY. As when Joe gets on the mic, I'll pop back over and look at the E-minis.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I mentioned the pre-market low at 28.50, 28.50, and I was looking at for a potential target on the downside. Your first bounce came at 26.29 1/4. So your pre-market highs and lows, not only in the futures, but I know you were talking earlier about the stocks and stuff. Even if you're not trading the pre-market of some of these stocks, if you mark the highs and the lows, the areas of significance, a lot of times those areas will come into major league play during the regular session. So it's just something that Dennis and I look at, and I just wanted to point it out there from the future. So I'm not expecting any big downside until we take out that pre-market low at 26.28 and 50. And what I mean by the intraday low is the low between 9:30 and 4:15 9:30 a.m. and 4:15 p.m.
Nice. Thanks, man. And appreciate the info as usual. Might be interested. What time is it? 10:12.
And your PCG fans, I don't know. Bankruptcy must be a good thing, but keeping an eye on 14.50 if it gets up there. That's been the high since it made its low of the move. At, what was that, at 501 or something crazy like that? Or 507. So keep an eye. If it gets near 14.50, that's your resistance in PCG.
Yeah, a little scary, man, because that one could be halted kind of at any moment. So, yeah, if you do play PCG, just do it with small size. Be cautious. Be careful. Jason, I don't see a whole heap ton on Starbucks. I actually do kind of like it bullish. And, for a continuation for maybe a swing trade. For a day trade, if you caught something on this one, man, congratulations. I mean, this is, like I said, this is the 5-minute chart. The cool news is with day trading, you can zoom in and, look at that move. Look at that breakdown. Just bearish candle after bearish candle after bearish candle. So on Starbucks, looks like it traded down to a spot where you could most likely probably buy it. If I pull up the hourly chart, it looks like it's kind of filled the gap. This is the hourly time frame. You're kind of battling that 20 EMA on the hourly. There's a little bit of a support there. So my overall thought process on Starbucks, I do actually like it for a swing trade. This is going to be a potential weekly options newsletter candidate. If you caught this one on a day trade, man, congrats. Very, very well done. So again, on SPY, what I'm keeping an eye on is to see if we do bounce or if we do kind of continue lower. But I'm also keeping a real close eye on Visa and Microsoft. Because again, they did have what appears to be a relatively nice, soft little breakdown. And I'm just going to see if that's going to continue at all. DOV, this could be a secondary bounce on Dover. And the trade that a lot of us are in together is Caterpillar. And I'm trying to figure out exactly how long I want to hold on to Caterpillar because, again, it is going a little counter trend. It was a gap up today, and I did like that early breakdown. It's retesting the VWAP from the bottom right now. So this could just be a short-term retest. But, again, the warning signal is this 10 EMA on a 15-minute chart for me. So this is the 10 EMA on the 15. We just trade right down to it. If I just hide all the drawings, you'll kind of see that it just, again, trade down to that particular price and a good little support, nice little bounce, and looks, again, a possible location where it bounces. So trying to determine how long I want to hold through this most obvious and most likely retracement that we're going to get on Caterpillar. I don't know if it's going to link too closely with the SPY, but as the SPY is retesting and the Qs and the Dow Jones and all that kind of good stuff, we will just have to see. Here's the Dow. Again, it looks a little double top-ish, kind of, sort of, on a 5-minute chart. Nothing crazy, just a little on the weak side. So back over to Square, this is the 5-minute chart. This red line here is the 200 simple moving average on the daily chart. So that's acting as a support. NVIDIA's hanging out. Again, Whirlpool did not fade. It did not close below the low of this white candle. So I have no idea what the heck Whirlpool is going to do. This is just a pure mystery to me. And I guess it's just going to keep on going up. So Polaris trading sideways. And Johnson & Johnson, I do have a swing trade on Johnson & Johnson open and ready to go. Probably going to end up canceling it today, but this was a bearish trade on Johnson & Johnson. Once this high wave bullish candle came in, right here, this was on the 25th of January. I was looking at it and played it, set it up. So probably going to be canceling Johnson & Johnson today. This was, I hop over here. This is a swing trade that we have set up on J&J. So I'll probably throw that one on the list for the afternoon and end up canceling that particular trade. Let me pull that up. Just give me about 23 seconds. I'm just going to write it down for the afternoon. Okay. So Johnson & Johnson, make sure we bring that one up and talk through that. J&J, all right, wonderful. Here's QTT, and this is another swing trade that we were looking at yesterday. Almost got filled. It literally hit my entry to the penny and then bounced. So should see. D says, do you have that spreadsheet available or is it your personal spreadsheet? I do have it available, and I will give that worksheet to every single person who decides that they want to sign up for real life trading. That's a great question. But yeah, that's just one of the very small perks that we will have for anyone who wants to sign up. On that note, let me at least talk about really quickly. I did have a few people ask yesterday about real life trading and kind of what we have as far as deals coming around the corner. So there's Axel says, any specials for signing up after the open house? So Axel, let me talk about that right now. And this is going to be a really, really wonderful special. I think you will all totally dig this. So check this out. You get the morning room, you get the afternoon room, You get the weekly options newsletter. And next week, I'm teaching a course called Hedging with Options. And then in March, I'm teaching a course about algorithmic trading. The really exceptional news is if you are a real life trading subscriber, you will get access to all of those things. Every single one. Forever. And we're doing it for $189 a month. That's it. $189. That is my cell phone bill, ladies and gentlemen. $189 a month. You're going to get the day trading room, which is open from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern every single day. You're going to get the weekly options newsletter, which is every single Tuesday. You're going to get the afternoon swing trading room, which is 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day. You're going to get the brand new algo trading program that we're launching in March, which we're going to be walking you through how to build your own trading robot. Your own trading robot. We're going to show you how to do it. I've worked with and I'm going to be, collaborating with an absolutely exceptional trader who has been profitable every single month since his algorithmic trading has began. We're going to go in and show you how to build it. We're going to give you the information. We're going to teach you how to tweak it, talk about how to implement it. It's going to be a wonderful program. And then starting next week is Hedging with Options. So Hedging with Options is going to be a 5-class series about, well, obviously, how to hedge with options. Ray says, is this session recorded to review? I need to go to work. Yes, Ray, I will be emailing this out for you. Drake says, that must be David Potvin. That is going to be David Potvin, yep. It's going to be incredible. Really pumped about it. JP says, I love the commentary from Joel and Dennis. Are they regulars in your room? We're working on that, JP. We are working on that, but I appreciate it. I also do enjoy that commentary. Craig says, which real-time market data subscriptions do I need for TradingView? I would get the main 3 that you need to subscribe to, Craig, is the NYSE, the NASDAQ, and ARCA. I think those are the main 3 that you're going to need to really implement and check out. Very valid question. That'll be pretty much it. Slavia says, so you will adjust the price for current subscribers? Yes, I will. Yep, of course. David says, I did not get yesterday's replays. How do I get them? Email me, Jerremy@reallifetrading.com, and I will send those to you. So yeah, Slavia, we're going to update all the trading plans. So there are some people who are already subscribed at Real Life Trading at a price that is higher than this. So for every single person who has a price higher than this, we are going to change that for them so they can get access to that for $189 a month. But again, folks, that's a really, in my opinion, I mean, $189 is one good trade, just one. So just something to think about. Those are the prices. Talk it over with your significant other if you want to get in on this. I think this could easily be $600, $700, $800 a month, especially with the algorithmic trading right around the corner. It's going to be a wonderful addition, and it's a very good trade. Seymour says that's 1/4 of a good trade. Yeah, I mean, if you have a $500 R, this should be a no-brainer. This should be the most easy decision that you've made all day. $500 R, that's half of an R. Rashir says, this is great. However, for someone starting, do we need all of it at once or one bite at a time? Dive into the fire. Get in. Get in and learn. Mark says, how long is the offer? This offer will last for probably until Sunday. Sometime Sunday night. We're going to get the clock counting down very soon. So right now it says the deal is over. With that countdown will begin. We will get the countdown clock turned on probably sometime today. But again, feel free to think about it. That's it. That's my pitch. Okay, back over to Caterpillar, because obviously it doesn't seem like it wants to roll over. again, kind of the whole market was in a little bit of a frenzy there for a moment. Microsoft and Visa kind of look like they might continue, and so does the SPY. So there's a little bit of a selling candle on Caterpillar. So what I'm going to do is drop the stop on Caterpillar here in just a few moments, and then I'm going to ask for it to make some new lows, and if it doesn't, I will be getting out of Caterpillar. In fact, give me a few moments. I think I'd rather be in Visa. Sorry, Microsoft. So Microsoft's down 2%. That's a really cute little pattern right here on Microsoft. Very nice morning star or evening star reversal. So if I exit Caterpillar, that would be an exceptionally small win, which I guess is better than a loss. SPY. So SPY came up, hit the 10, a little bit of a bearish candle. But again, it's one of those things like you'd hate to exit early, right? What if it continues lower? I mean, it's always, you're always battling those odds. Like, how long do you hold? When do you get out? So again, this is the hourly chart. If I turn the extended hours off, this is what the hourly looks like. So you do have a decent looking hourly chart. Here's the 30-minute chart, which I almost never look at, but that also, yeah, there's some support resistance that I could see on Caterpillar. There is. There are some supports, and there's the very next bullish candle right off of the VWAP. So now I know the line in the sand that needs to break down on CAT. Seymour says, look at the 30-minute when trading weekly options. RM says, if you can share, what tools package do you use for the algorithmic trading course? I appreciate it unless it's proprietary. It is proprietary, RN. So join, sign up, and we'll show you. That's going to come out in March, right around the corner. All right. So again, Square is hanging out. NVIDIA made its rollover. Whirlpool doing its thing. Polaris. Polaris did have a really good retest, but it's just been kind of spreading. Xerox, I was horrifically wrong about. It just kind of kept on going up. Harley-Davidson looks a little on the weak side. GLW's hanging out. Vail never bounced. Verizon bouncing. ABBV not doing much. Roku kind of going lower. AMD hanging out. VYGR still is a possibility. DOV still a possibility. Visa and Microsoft really are quite interesting. There goes Microsoft right there. So Microsoft, I do want to keep a super close watch on MSFT. I don't think that's going to necessarily impact Caterpillar at all, but it could, I guess. Because again, right now I'm pretty much at break even on Caterpillar, and I'd like to take a small gain on that. Steve is looking at Facebook. Here's Facebook. And Facebook, right, you already got some selling on ticker symbol FB. You're at all kinds of moving averages, the 10, the 20, the 50. There's a lot of support here on the daily chart. So if Facebook trades sideways, it could break down, but it actually looks a little bit more bullish to me. So I'll put it on the list. We can watch it. Johnson & Johnson, Jason's been keeping an eye on this one all afternoon. Here's the 15-minute chart, and it doesn't look bearish. I agree. You got some soft bullish movement. Trend looks pretty good. Here's the 5-minute chart. You got a little bit of you got some buying here, a nice retest, nice S curve. So Johnson & Johnson looking pretty nice. And if you're looking at continuing that bullish, I think that's the short-term direction. Mr. Kel Robinson says Amazon support and resistance. So Amazon down 2.5% right now. Strong move, and this is a very interesting move if Amazon can close. I know earnings is right around the corner, but this does look relatively bearish to me. So the thing is, Kel, with Amazon, the support really on Amazon's right here, which is approximately 16, 15, 30. And it looks like if we get a close below that particular price, I'd have to say it looks a smidge more on the bearish side to me. But again, earnings are just days away, which of course earnings can change everything on a stock. This particular 5-minute chart, similar to Facebook, you do have what appears to be a relatively decent bullish buying candle coming in. If we keep trading sideways and we break lower, Amazon breakdown would be nice, but I don't know if that's going to happen, right? Being already down 2.5%. But that really would be a very pretty and decently crisp breakdown if that does happen. All right, very cool. So again, back over to Microsoft and Visa, which are showing some interesting weakness. Yeah, Microsoft is kind of continuing. That was, man, I would have loved to have seen that like 10, 15 minutes into market open. We would have been in that trade for sure. Right below here, 104.06. That would have been nice. Caterpillar throwing in another upper shadow. So I'm going to go in Caterpillar and lower the stop above that price. I really wanted to exit for a super, super small gain on this one, but it just doesn't look like that's going to happen. So let me take the stop down. It really just needs to be above this upper shadow. There's no real reason, I don't think, for Caterpillar to break above that price. Because again, short term, it is a little bit more on the bullish side. I agree. So this is going to be 127.31. So new stop on Caterpillar. The good news is this would be a very small loss, but lower stop on Cat. Lower stop on Cat. That's 127.31 will be the new stop loss. And again, this one did work for a very short period of time. And like I said, the warning signal was just the 15-minute chart. It traded right into the 10 on the 15. But that's when the broader market was starting to show a little bit of general weakness. So I was trying to see if we're going to get any kind of continuation lower. I definitely thought about bailing early. The downside of that is, if you bail too early, obviously you can keep going lower. This little small double top on SPY was kind of what I was interested in seeing if we're going to get any kind of follow through. But it looks like SPY is, again, a little just slightly bullish. People are still finding dip buying opportunities out there on the markets. Here's another trade setup that we have is HUYA. And HUYA did not continue higher, at least not right now. That was the entry that we set up. And I actually do like the pullback. The pullback is nice. Decent pullback for sure, but did not break above the level that I was keeping an eye on. So, I guess that's fine. And another trade out there, VYGR. So again, VYGR is a pretty decent gapper. It's just really trading sideways right now. Trading sideways, hasn't made a higher high yet, but it is something that we could trade together if we certainly need to. And there's CAT just pennies away, most likely going to hit it any second. And then we will go look for another trade. Could potentially flip on Caterpillar, very similar to what I did on Square yesterday. I wouldn't be afraid of that because, again, it did pull down to the 15-minute chart and out on Caterpillar. Okay, so stopped out on CAT, small loss. Down on the day, for sure, at least presently. So CAT did not break down. Good stop loss, though. 127.32 was where I got filled on that exit. And very similar to yesterday, if you're down about 1.3 Rs, we find one more trade that we can get an R.5 on, and then we'll be profitable for the day. I mean, it's just all about losing small. very close to exiting Caterpillar early when it was hitting the 10 EMA on the 15. That is really, if I'm fading something, one of my, I wonder why I can't delete that. One of my warning signals I like to look for. If it's going to continue lower, if there's ever going to be a fade, that 10 EMA on the 15 really is a pretty strong indicator of a good bounce. And so again, that's that. Here's the 10 EMA on the 15 right there. Just a good candle, a good little hammer. And yeah, that's what we got. So Caterpillar, quick little bear move, and then bounced. GameStop is going to continue to go lower. JP says, you calculate R on the capital of the trade or your whole account balance? You use your entire account balance, JP. Valid question. So Square is at 69.03. It's just hanging out. NVIDIA did have a super small rollover down into support. Whirlpool looks like it's going to continue a little bit higher. Polaris, wow, what a rollover on Polaris. Ticker symbol PII. This is the 5-minute chart, and that really was a very, very pretty breakdown over in this general area. It really wasn't bad at all on Polaris. Xerox, I think I'm just going to take Xerox off the list. This is not going to go down. Looks like it's just too strong. I'm just going to slowly continue higher. Definitely was wrong on that trade. Did not fade at all, but we didn't get triggered in, and I think that's a good thing. Harley Davidson still hanging out. GLW hanging out. VALE did not continue higher. I think I can take Verizon off the list as well. That's just very, very choppy right now. Here's ABBV. And there were some traders looking at ABBV for a potential trade. And just doesn't look like it's going to try to bounce. So again, you had 5 bearish candles in a row. There were some people looking at it potentially continuing a little bit higher. I don't think it's going to today, so we can take that off the list. Roku is down 2%. So it took out some supports. Let's see, AMD is down 3%, so it still trades sideways. VYGR, still a possibility. DOV, Dover, that's a nice little double bottom on Dover. Not bad. Like I said, I do have the ability to take one more trade on the day. If I do take that trade, I will do my absolute best to lose exceptionally small on it. So I want to make sure I have a nice, pretty comfortable risk-reward setup. Dover is a possibility for a double bottom. Let me scoot that one up to the top and see if we can let that pull back some. Visa and Microsoft have some interesting weakness. So Visa, I love that high wave candle. And Microsoft, MSFT did break down a little bit lower. Again, SPY kind of bouncing. Facebook and Amazon are almost doing identical patterns. So Facebook and Amazon, they're both down exactly 2.3%, and they're both kind of bouncing down here. So they've already made some moves. So just be cautious on shorting Amazon or Facebook unless we trade sideways and break down lower in the day. And Pepsi, so here's ticker symbol PEP. Pepsi on the daily chart is hanging out, chilling, doing its thing. No real gap today as far as a day trade, so it's going to be relatively flat. So I don't think I'm going to trade Pepsi for a day trade, personally. McDonald's, Dennis was talking about McDonald's a little bit earlier, and MCD, big bearish engulfing candle yesterday, and just a small little move today. Looks like it's bouncing. Drake says, can you give me your thoughts on Square for the rest of the day? I mean, what's beautiful, man, is you got just the absolute perfect S curve. You got the rotation lower. You're down 10%. I believe you're hitting the 200 simple on the daily chart right now. Let's see, you got 200 simple is at 68.31. I'd be neutral to slightly bullish. If your inputs, I can understand that. In fact, I really will keep score on the list to see if we actually can trade it bullish again in the afternoon. It would be an aggressive trade, no question. Jason says low risk trade, buying a call and exiting if it makes a lower low, which it easily could, right? Square could certainly make a lower low, but yeah, I think slightly down 9% on just a random analyst report is like Dennis is saying, it's kind of a lot. So if we're doing something on Square, we could keep an eye out for a bullish trade. I do like the fact that I made this little low here, and I'm going to watch this. What am I watching for? Just some volume to come in. Let me just see what this next candle does, because this would be only a $1 stop. And I do like my $1 stops on Square. Okay, so if I do one other thing, I'm gonna pop over to Visa. And Visa got a high wave bearish candle here with a stop loss. What would this be? Right up here could be possible. That'd be a decent amount of buying power too. Because again, Visa's having an interesting move today. It's down 1%, but check out this daily chart. This daily chart, you're having kind of a little bit of a decent follow through. RM says, Jeremy, I don't know if I missed the previous comments or not. I missed the swing trading room last night. Generally, are you bullish or bearish U.S. stocks intermediate term? Bullish. Yes, I'm bullish. Okay, so it actually does look like it's breaking down here on Visa. I know the risk reward to the low of the day is really not that exceptional. Let me zoom into a smaller time frame. And what time is it? 10:41. Based on this candle, I kind of think that it could be, I like this a lot. So 39 by 79. And I'm assuming SPY and Visa will move kind of similar. We'll have some similar properties, but just kind of out the gate, decent little close there on Visa. Below that hammer type of candle on a 3-minute, for an afternoon rollover. Let's see, 5 minutos. I really would like a close below this on the 5-minute chart. Pablo says 133.70 is a resistance. That'd be a great target, 133.70. That'd be right at 2 Rs, actually. So I could live with that. Back to the 3-minute time frame. I wonder how much it's going to retest this candle, because again, this is a nice, pretty nice hammer candle. The risk reward, if I put an entry here, right at the low of this candle, with a little bit of a higher move, I think that if we, so this will be a 40-cent risk. Let me make sure I can afford that trade, because that actually would be a decent amount of buying power. Okay. So 40 cents of risk. It's 1,250 shares with a $100 R. Yeah, it'd be a little bit high, but I think it can happen. Chase says, did I hear correctly, when day trading options stick to 2-week expiration? I don't know if I was here for that discussion, Chase, but I just do the exact same, just the front month option, the front week option. So the one expiring that week. All right, so it might not get a retest. This might have been just the retest right here. I'm trying to figure out if I'm being Chicken Little. It kind of feels like I am on Visa. I think this was the retest right there. The high of that, 134.40. This 5-minute candle is going to close any second. Because again, what I'm trying to do on this particular trade is have a nice entry and also do my best to move small. Because at this point, I am down on the day, but all I need is one trade to make an R1.5 or more. If I get 2 Rs, then it should be pretty good. Falco says Visa is pretty extended from the VWAP, although it doesn't necessarily matter. It's very true. It doesn't specifically matter very often. Good volume, good gap. All right, so there's the close. So it did close below that candle on a 5-minute chart. I think it's going to bounce a little bit more. All right, I'm going to give this a few more minutes. I'm going to keep a very close eye on Visa. I think it's trying to do some traps because SPY is moving higher. So we will wait. Jason says, is this a tweezer reversal on Starbucks? Nope, this is an evening star reversal. On a 3-minute, let me look at the 5-minute. 5-minute, nope, not a tweezer either. So the tweezer, they have to have the exact same highs. The highs are off by a penny on this one. Good question, very valid. Falco says 134 is a pivot on Visa. 134. Yeah, I guess it just really depends on, just one of those situations, like it just depends on the drawing, I guess. John says Xerox finally broke. Did it? I think it like kind of broke higher. Yeah, I wouldn't short it yet, man. It still looks too strong. I was just dead wrong on that one. Didn't get any trade on it, never got filled, kept on going higher. Jay says, what's your thoughts on CAT above the high of the day? I would not wait to get in bullish above the high of the day if you're going to get in bullish on Caterpillar. Pretty much where I got stopped out is the point to flip on CAT. So if you want to buy it, just get in where I got trailed out above that wick, buy that dip. But there's no need to, in my opinion, wait for a brand new high to get in bullish on Caterpillar. Again, I should have exited that one early. I felt it in my bones. I didn't. So now, and I lost on it, which is always kind of lame. But I was really doing my best to try to get that R back on video. Dover, that was a good double bottom. Looks like I missed that one. Square, just going to keep on rolling, I guess. Keep on rolling, rolling, rolling. What? Yeah, wow. So interesting on Visa. I was having a lot of you guys tell me not to take it based on pivots and view apps. But I don't know, man. It doesn't look super strong taking out this massive hammer candle. And again, I just like the daily chart. Daily chart just has that a good gap yesterday, good little breakdown today. I know earnings are right around the corner. In about 13 minutes, you're going to have Mr. Blake Anderson, who is one of our regular moderators at Real Life Trading, hop on the mic. And he's going to be looking through some afternoon trade setups from 12 to 2 Eastern. So that'll be happening in just a few moments. Seymour, I was going to target and expect Visa to make a new low of the day. Yeah, so I mean, low of the day would have been a target maybe for a very small position, but I do think Visa will eventually make a new low. Looks like I just missed the double bottom on Dover. That was a nice gap that Dennis was talking about. And Square, I guess, guys, yeah, it is going to kind of keep making a little bit of a lower low, potentially. That's amazing. Now it's down 10% in one day. Incredible. GameStop still weak. Caterpillar doing the retest right now. NVIDIA. Oh, man. Manuel says, have you looked at currency pairs yet? Manuel, you're the only one that has asked, what currency pair would you like me to look at, sir? I can do that now. Whirlpool, I'm just going to take that off the list. Just keep running without me. What time frame would you like to look at the US dollar, Japanese yen? Harley Davidson hanging out. USD, JPY on the daily. Okay, let's pull up the daily chart. Probably going to be sideways. Nope, not massively sideways. Okay, so here's the weekly chart on the Japanese yen. That's sideways, but most currencies are. Just a lot of chop in currencies. The daily time frame. I'm looking at the daily chart. I'm seeing a really nice lower shadow here. Nice little trend line right here. And a very short-term support right here. What we have today so far is a bullish high wave candle. So if that candle continues to trade up and then it breaks lower, it would be my opinion that this would be a little bit of a bearish move, and you would look to play the currency pair on the downside. First gnarly target would be a little bit below 108, and then, you know, obviously I don't think it's going to trade back down to the low of this candle. Probably somewhere in the middle of this wick would be a good spot to take it. The other perspective would simply be bullish, right? If this candle closes like this today and makes a higher move, go bullish with a bounce off that trend line. So looking at the daily chart on the US dollar, Japanese yen, I would like today's candle to close. Once that candle closes, right, which I don't know how many hours that is from now, but later down the road, once it closes, you can almost bracket trade that candle today. There you go, my friend. That is my thoughts. Okay. What's Roku doing? So Roku threw up a big upper shadow, and it too looks a little on the weak side. Somewhat, sort of, kind of. Here's the hourly chart. And again, anything I'm fading on a lot of these stocks is going to be pulling back into some sort of moving average. Kind of sour that I didn't take NVIDIA the second time with that tweezer pattern. That's a very nice, it's not a perfect tweezer top by any means, but it has very similar sentiment. And NVIDIA's down another 3%. I mean, so we're getting some continuation there on Visa. As far as other swing trades are concerned, here is, we looked at HUAA, we looked at QTT, Johnson Johnson, probably going to cancel that one. And then here is Delta. Jason says, isn't that tweezer similar to Starbucks? Yep, it is, very similar. So you can call them a tweezer-ish pattern. They can have the same sentiment, but it's not a tweezer pattern unless, you know, the highs are the exact same. But you are correct. I mean, they can have this, you know, similar sentiment. It just depends on the exact nature of the move. I mean, that's the thing is once these candles, they had the exact same low. So you're right. I mean, like I said, it's a tweezer-ish pattern. It's just not exactly a tweezer. But the fact that they have the exact same lows, you know, if it breaks below, which it did, quick little pullback on that one, very expected. I think that makes tons of sense. All right, so back to Visa, which again, I'm trying to figure out if this is trying to double bottom on me and be a trap, which I think it is based on SPY. So I am looking at SPY to kind of help me judge a position right now on just kind of the broader market. Facebook looks like it double bottomed. And remember, you have a lot of moving averages on the daily chart that could be propping up Facebook. For me, I only need to snag an R&a-half today to get back in the green, which is not that hard to do. And I'm trying to debate if Facebook will be it. What would this be? 144.68 by 143.85. I would prefer a retest on Facebook like 144.11. Let me just see how this 5-minute candle closes. I realized the 10 EMA on the 15 would be a resistance at 144.88. I get that. And the volume does look a little bit more brutal. So Facebook, I'm going to scoot that bad boy up. Amazon is just in a little bit of a pennant pattern right now. Nice little pennant, which could easily break lower. SPY is hanging out. Microsoft, wow, Microsoft is still weak. VYGR, still sideways. AMD, so AMD just made a new low of the day. That is really interesting. Where's the 200 on AMD? 1945. Very interesting. 1945. Could we short AMD on a low of the day retest? I think we could. It's only down 3.9. So this will be shorting at a previous low along with shorting at the 200 simple on the daily. Steven says, could you possibly explain once again how you come up with your risk for reward? Can you clarify that question for me, Steven? I just don't know exactly what you mean. When you say risk reward, are you talking about how I come up with my risk? Like the R strategy, all that good stuff? So R stands for risk. That's pretty much it. Not hard. R equals 1% or lower of your account size. That's it. So for me, I trade with a $500 R, which is less than 1% of my account size. So if I have a $500 risk unit, what I would do on this trade, Stephen, is I would take the entry and the stop, and I would do some really quick math. 1971 minus 1945 is going to come up with a number. So I do the math, I determine the number, and that number is 26 cents. I then take $500, divide it by 26 cents, and I come up with the amount of shares to trade. That's it. And again, that $500, that number could be any number that you decide based on your risk profile. It could be 1,000, 10,000, 20,000, $5, 20. I mean, it's up to you and your account size, realistically. And that is it, sir. Super simple. So I'm going to scoot AMD up on the list. So we have a possible AMD, a possible Facebook trade. And then I'm going to hop over here to BABA. Arabia is looking at BABA, and looks like it's coming into a support level. Yep. So let me pull up the hourly chart on Alibaba. Yeah, so it looks like it's just kind of trading a little sideways. So BABA is at a little bit of a support. If I was going to go long on BABA, Arabia, I would get in bullish above those candles with a stop down here. Trying to form a morning star-esque type of pattern. And yeah, I mean, it's at a nice little support. I don't know if it's going to bounce. You got 4 bearish candles in a row. Caterpillar, by the way, absolute smashing retest. That was very pretty. I don't know if anyone took that retest that I was talking about flipping. I was very close to doing it. Getting in bullish on the pullback on that candle, the stop down there, and that actually would have been 1 hour right there. Just a nice little flip, getting in on the retest. So again, I don't think you have to wait for the high of the day break on Caterpillar. Looks like she's just going to keep rolling. Very nice S-curve, nice bounce, good move higher. Realistically, should have taken the profit down there. Thought about it, almost did it. Alfred says, so is your profit target 1893 on your shorts of these two trades? Let's find out what 2 times the risk would be on this particular trade, because it actually does not look bad. I think I'm going to be setting that one up. And again, waiting for my boy Blake to pop in here and give me some words of wisdom. Here's 1 R, so 2 R's would be 1893. You got it, Alfred. Very well done, my friend. Albert says, you wouldn't feel AMD is a bit extended to take it on the short side. What hint do you feel to bet on the short side? It's only down 4%. It's pretty much my answer. Only down 4%. Yesterday it was down like 8. Right, Albert? So, I mean, it can continue lower. This is really the first main break that it's had today. So this is the 15-minute chart, and I don't think this fills, but I will set it up, and I will keep it open for a little bit. Potential day trade on AMD. Keeping this open for a retest for at least 30 minutes. Okay, AMD. I've been forgetting to do this on my other trades. Seymour says, is Brad here today? It's just going to be Blake. So Joel's here still, and then Blake, when he pops into the room, there's actually him right there. So Blake Anderson, we promote him to panelist. Hope it's the right Blake. So I will set this trade up on AMD. Again, I don't know if it'll work, but the risk reward makes sense. If I can take that trade and make 2 R's on it, then everything will be absolutely fine. AMD 1945 with a stop loss at 1971. And this is pretty much just based on a retest gap and new official day trade. Okay, so we'll see if it retests. Again, the 200 simples there. What's up, Blakey?
How's it going, Mr. Newsome?
Good. How are you?
Just fine. Just trading a little active this morning. Things are. We talked about it earlier this week. It's a little weird. You wonder if everyone's just waiting on Apple earnings, or
Probably.
what's going on out there?
Yeah, probably, man. Most likely. So I want to give everyone just a quick intro on this beautiful gentleman who is speaking right now. This is Mr. Blake Anderson. He lived in Nashville a few years back, and that's where we met, became good friends, became good trading buddies, and I did everything I could to bring him over into real-life trading so I could introduce all of you to his absolutely magical words of wisdom. This guy's a phenomenal trader, traded professionally in New York City for one of the big firms up there, and he has a lot of experience with hedge funds, has a lot of experience with personal trading. He's a great trader, knows everything about everything. Right, Blake? You know all of it. So if you have questions, he's a wonderful person to ask. He's a wonderful trader. I would put every single dime I had into his account and let him trade it for me. Love this guy. So listen to what he has to say. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to pause the recording. I'm going to keep AMD open unless it just runs to the target and doesn't retest, which it looks like it might do. But I'll probably cancel it at some point if it doesn't retest. But anyway, Blake, my man, take it away.
Thank you, sir. All right, guys, 1 second.